Welcome to Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
And by that I mean, hey John, hi listeners, how you doing?
You know, that bit was, whatever you just did was so high, it actually blew out the mic, so everybody just heard silence, which is great, actually.
Great. So what what they missed was my doing a very martial artsy ki.
Yes.
Because I'm in that spirit.
As you should be, based on this week's movie. Here's the thing. Okay, we have a guest this week who was, in this movie, was kind of...
Oh, I'm putting my pants on. Sorry.
Yeah. We've talked about this, Brendan. We have company.
Sorry.
Clean up the place and put your pants on. And maybe put out a snack bowl or something. We kind of picked this guest at random a little bit, only because I go, oh, this is kind of a good guy for like an 80s schlock movie. I did not expect it to so perfectly fit this week's guest. And that is...
It was synchronicity.
It really was. So joining us for the first time, making his first appearance on Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, my co-host from fellow Punch Up Entertainment podcast, The Action Shelf, Michael Lissman, is with us.
Hello.
Michael Lissman. It's wonderful to have a guest, and I have guested on your podcast a couple of times.
Yes,
a couple.
And for those who are strictly fans of our monster journey, the Action Shelf, if I may be so bold, it's you guys watching. It's not just 80s. You guys are watching the lowest of the low bar action films, the classic direct-to-video, direct-to-view on demand.
VOD, the new thing, yeah.
Of the greats, the giants, mostly.
Yes.
You're watching a lot of Jean-Claude. You're watching a lot of Steven. I can call him that because we're friends.
Old Stevie?
And it's wonderful. I mean, the movies you've made me watch for that podcast were painful, so your guys' tolerance is so high.
I mean, you think about that. I do that show and this show every week, and this show, there's some respite, right? I mean, there are some weeks where it's good, but there are some weeks where I get the double whammy of whatever we're watching on here and the Action Shelf. So
it's gotta hurt.
I'm dumber. I mean, I'm like measurably dumber. These shows.
Our taste in films has been forever ruined. I don't think like just basic screenwriting is enough to impress us.
So at this point, have you canceled your Criterion Channel membership?
Oh yeah, it's long gone, man. Classics and foreign films? I don't think so. No, we're not. We're impressed by like a Transformers sequel now. We're having a competent 3-act structure. Transformers 8, man. Say what you will, it had a third act. You know, like
now. Lissman, let me ask you, what's your relationship with the monsters? Classic monsters.
I mean, you know. I haven't seen a lot of the films. I did read a lot of them growing up, like Bram Stoker's Dracula and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm a fan for sure.
In general, horror, you're a fan.
I think I'm a little picky when it comes to horror.
Picky, what's that like?
we don't know that word here.
Yeah.
Well, wait till you hear my opinion of this movie, because I'm actually very curious what you guys thought of it. I'm
going to jump the gun as I always do. I at the end of watching this, I wrote down my summation, 2 words to sum up this movie, and I wrote it down. The 2 words were unlikely delight.
Okay.
Oh, wait. No, sorry. No. Diarrhea fountain. I couldn't. My handwriting is so bad. It looked like one thing. It turned out it was another thing. Diarrhea fountain is the only thing I can say for this film. This is terrible. John's got to look on his face.
What about you, John?
I kind of liked it.
I I enjoyed watching it. I don't know that I
did too.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It's schlocky.
I did laugh a couple of times, but it was, of course, the the laugh of, I can't believe how bad this is. So I did enjoy on the watching a bad movie level. It did not anger me the way some of the ones we've watched before did. But this is so cheap. Yeah, and it is cheap on every possible level, including logic and story. I mean, screenplays, as you mentioned, okay, so maybe the dialogue might not be good, but they thought a story through. No, the dialogue's terrible, the story's terrible, and the logic's terrible, and every decision that's made is terrible, but sometimes that collides into something that is so bad I had to laugh.
But this is fun to me in like a midnight B movie schlock kind of way. I don't know. There's you know, like I said, it's not good objectively. This is not. Of course, it's not good. But it was fun. It wasn't the slog of a Howling sequel.
No, it wasn't a slog. No. I'll give it that.
Because there's too many moments in it where you're like, wait, what? Like,
I will say, Act 3, we spend so much time in the duct work that I was like, Jesus Christ, visually, this is just
100% on that. And I will say, though, this is a problem I've noticed across every Phantom of the Opera movie we've watched. They always...
Lighting.
Well, there's always just too much chase through ducts, tunnels, sewers. There's always this point in the third act of whatever version of the story we see where everybody's...
You have to find him in his lair.
Yeah, where everybody's running around in subterranean or places or whatever, and you're always going, all right, let's go. Come on. It's true. Never good. Like, it's never... And I'm not saying, like, this movie works in every other scene, but it is sort of interesting that is a problem just unique to telling this story for some reason.
Have we said the name of the movie yet? The name is very good. The name is very, very good.
The name of the movie is Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge.
Yeah.
Now, I not only watched Phantom...
I love it. I love this movie so much.
Not only did I watch Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, I also watched the making of documentary that Arrow Video made. That is really good because there's a lot of people who are still really mad about this movie.
Surely not our two main actresses, both of whom were fine Playboy playmates at certain points.
They did not come back to talk about it, so I guess we can assume their thoughts. The only two actors that are on the documentary,
Eric.
Yeah, the guy who played Eric the Phantom.
Okay.
And the guy who Lissman. This is so weird because we just did a movie over on the Action Shelf called Stone Cold, the Brian Bosworth starring classic, of course, that featured the actor who played Mac's dad on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he's fucking back in this movie. Gregory Scott Cummins, who plays the arsonist murderer in this.
Are you serious? Yeah, that guy had a career after this?
That guy is a major working actor to this day. Hugely so. God. He plays Mac's dad in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's also one of the regulars on Bosch on Amazon. So he's a working character actor. He comes back and talks, and he's my favorite guy because he's been in a million movies as various henchmen and villains and stuff, right? And he just goes, there's just a part where he goes, "What happened to me in that one? Did I get my head cut off in Phantom of the Mall?" Like, because he goes, "I've been killed by so many different slashers and action heroes." He goes, "Did I get my head cut off and then explode?"
But I guarantee you, this is the only movie ever made where he shows up to destroy a woman's sex fantasy.
Yeah. So they're
shirtless, going, "I got you now," or whatever he says.
They're the only two actors on the documentary, but the two best guys on the documentary are the original screenwriters of this movie, who are still decades later fucking furious that the studio ruined their brilliant screenplay. They go, what we wrote was clever and new and bold, and then they just took it and destroyed it.
The thing is, we can only take their word for it because yes, there were like 3 names listed, and that might not have even been the entire amount of people who worked on it, because you have to write a certain amount for your name to end up on there. So it's possible it did get ruined.
Yeah.
But again, when I talk about logic, which I use a lot, I'm sitting there going, it doesn't take a genius to sit there and look at things like, now he has a cobra. Where did Eric get a cobra? Maybe let's explore some of this. Was Eric some sort of martial arts guy before a fire, or did he just become a horribly scarred martial artist?
I assume he had to be a martial artist beforehand.
In hiding. I know, but there's things where
I choose to believe he became a martial artist after being burned alive.
And maybe just a little exploration of things like that.
He had to do something with his time in the vents of the mall, right? So
and why is the town mayor... Why is the town mayor always at the fucking mall or in its parking lot? And why does she open her door late at night to strange teenagers? There are a lot of little things that are just going, logic, let's take a break and work out.
When somebody gets murdered, I generally don't drive to the mayor's house and let them know.
Me either.
Mayor, you have to listen to what we have to say, Mayor.
Now, the mayor is Morgan Fairchild.
Of course.
By the way, they talk about...
I wouldn't mind driving to her house late at night.
I'm not there with you, man. Morgan Fairchild to me is such a hottie
this is her on the downslide.
But even younger Morgan Fairchild is so of her era and attractiveness that I just have. She's objectively pretty, but I've always just kind of been like, both her and Lonnie Anderson. I feel like we're in the same boat to me of like. Man, that was that era's idea of the
Lonnie Anderson. I'm speaking as the guy from that generation, sort of. They were childhood crushes to some degree, but with Lonnie Anderson, it wasn't just about the big boobs. It was the fact that she was very funny on WKRP.
I actually like.
She actually was very funny.
I love that
her hair. I mean, when you look at the hair of that time. I who grew up then, I'm like, I can't deal with that. That's just
it's weird to think that the hairstyle and the fashion of the 80s was ever popular. You know, it's so antithetical to what we now view as sort of more aesthetically pleasing.
Right. My favorite thing about the movie was how 1987 it was. I know this was a 1989 film.
Yeah, right.
But when they're in that mall, and I don't know when it was shot, but holy hell did that bring back memories. Watching Stranger Things I enjoy because I can go, I'm basically kind of the same age as these characters, so they're getting a lot of it right. But this was actually shot back then. So when they're running from Sam Goody's to B. Dalton's and all those stores, I was sitting there going, oh my God, it's a Miller's Outpost. I used to get shirts at Miller's Outpost. And I'm just looking at those shops and that mall and I'm going, wow, 80s hit me in the head so very hard. And all of their costumes. You're right. It was a terrible... I admit it. As a child of that decade, I'm sitting there going, yeah, awful. And we all dressed like that to some degree.
The 90s were only slightly better, and only better by comparison. So
and then of course you'll have kids today that will look at your 90s fashions with your cinched jeans and your tucked in t-shirts and your grunge and all that, and they're going, God damn, you guys were idiots. Look at that terrible stuff. So it's a cycle. It goes on and on and on. Yeah. But this was very 80s in a way that was something I did enjoy because it was so accurate because they weren't reproducing the era. They were in the fucking era.
The whole idea of, does it get more 80s than let's do Phantom of the Opera in a fucking mall?
I know.
Also, John, what was the quote that they said? The writer said it was original, it was clever, it was something like that.
It was. They kept.
They do know that Phantom of the Opera is a story that's existed before their movie. How original do you think?
Well, and that's the other thing. When you hear them talking about how they developed their script, they're just going like, "We thought, who goes to horror movies? Teenagers. Where do teenagers like to hang out? Malls." Make a horror movie in a mall. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm sure that was just a crackling, brilliant piece of writing from you guys, if that was the starting place. And the other thing they keep saying that I found hilarious is they go, and ours would have been a hit. It would have been a hit. There's no doubt in their minds. And also, one of the guys wanted to direct. He goes, if they had done our script and if they had let me direct it, I'm telling you, this thing would have been huge. And I'm just like, if you are full of shit.
I mean, all of that's woulda, shoulda, coulda. But I'm sitting there going, guys, I would like to sit down with them and say, let's say that it happened, and you had the exact same cast.
Yeah.
No. This is a terrible cast. Even if your script was, let's say your script was 25% better than what ended up on the screen.
Yeah.
You still would have given that script, which was slightly better, to actors who are, this is their ceiling, and they'll get no better than this. Even, I mean, Morgan Fairchild's not a great actor. She's a TV actor, and even then, she's of a certain level that she never rose above. And so she's your name?
Well, and then
Rob Estes isn't big yet. But he's not a great actor.
Well, but I mean, because I was going to say, it's interesting. Yeah, well, Rob Estes' ceiling will be about the same as Morgan Fairchild's just years later. I remember watching Rob Estes on Melrose Place.
I know. I love watching him here and realizing, wow, you really could get pretty far then and probably now with good looks and an eyebrow. That guy acts totally with one eyebrow. It's like, I'll raise that eyebrow and that shows I'm interested or I'm on to something or I kind of like her. The same thing. Lift that eyebrow, Rob. It's doing all the work for you.
This guy's still acting. Like, he still has a career in, like, Lifetime, but that's, as we always talk about over on the Action Shelf, though, that's a career. If you get on that track, that's good money, good, consistent money.
So what we should do, I mean, obviously we need to dive in.
We need to dive in, but you want to talk about awful. How about we talk about this poster?
Yeah,
because
you guys don't like it.
Listen, we do always review the posters for these movies as well. And this poster, I mean, did somebody forget the deadline of the poster and they just slapped this together? Because it's, I mean, we don't even have to describe very much. It's a picture of a mall, and they have superimposed the face of the Phantom from this movie on it.
The thing I love is the picture of the mall is just a normal shot. So you see actual people on the
I don't even think this is the mall in this movie.
And so that is hilarious because everyone on the escalators are looking the opposite way. And also I can tell that it's been flipped because of one of the logos. So they wanted it going in a particular direction. But I love that they're just like, oh, look, yeah, there's the Orange Julius. So they don't see this looming specter of Eric. And the looming specter of Eric is the giveaway, which you think that most Phantom movies are always, let's hold off on the big reveal. The makeup is a big thing in a Phantom story. So let's do the mask, and then there'll be the big tear-off scene, and instead, this poster is like, no, just put the guy's big, stupid, bad makeup head full front on this thing so everyone knows
this is
what we're up against.
The other guy who talks extensively on the documentary is the makeup artist on this movie, and he's a hoot.
Is he proud of his work?
Yeah.
Then I don't need to listen to anything he has to
say.
And
I will say when he lists his other credits, they're all like, he goes, let's see the other shows I've worked on. The Dorm That Dripped Blood. You're just going like, because he's going like, it was the 80s, man. It was the heyday of the horror makeup job. Yeah, and we've talked extensively about the greats who have done that, on this show, right? The Rick Bakers and such like that. This guy is like the D-list Rick Baker, basically, is the sense I get. Like, if your movie cost, under $2 million, he did.
He was your guy.
Yeah. And he he's also talking about how little they let him do because he didn't, they didn't have the money. So there's all these things where he goes, oh yeah, that kill. Well, that was mostly done in cuts. I didn't actually have a lot to do on that one, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's okay. He really had.
He still looks fondly on it, which
he was. The only thing I do love is he goes every time I look at that cardboard crusher decapitation. I wish he'd gotten his hands up in there so I could have taken the hands off too. That would have been really good. I think that was a missed opportunity.
I love that when you're looking at the various, that was the movie poster.
Yeah.
Phantom of the Mall.
Yeah.
By the way, the Phantom and Mall words are used in a almost spot on font style from the musical Phantom of the Opera.
Well, that's something that's overriding all of this, and we've talked about this because we're kind of in on the show at the end of this season, which this is our season finale. This is the last movie we're doing in the 1980s before we go to the 90s, but both the end of this season and the beginning of next season, we have a lot of Phantom stuff because we're in the boom of the musical. There's no question about that. So
yeah,
and also what we've talked about this too. The book has also recently become public domain. Not that this is. I mean, this. I guess this borrows the structure of sorts of the Phantom, but
there's some parallels.
Yes, in very basic broad strokes. I mean, now one thing that they
finally did the Cobra, which is definitely Toilet Cobra is 100% in that novel.
What?
The Toilet Cobra was the name of your high school band, wasn't it?
And we were pretty good actually. I'm so proud of Toilet Cobra's output.
I was the bassist actually.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys were great. I was into you guys before you got big, before you sold out.
Before our studio album, Toilet Cobra. Was that with Capital?
But this thing, but if you look at adaptations, and there have been broad sweeping adaptations. We've watched Phantom of the Paradise and I love it.
I've said it before.
Also,
still my favorite version we've seen.
There's also Phantom of the Phantom of Hollywood, which was a TV movie from the 70s. But the thing is that when you do this story, more often than not, the idea is there is some very special person, and they are artistic in some way. They're a genius, but their horrible disfigurement, whether by birth or by accident, they have to hide. And it does twist their mind. They're willing to kill, but it's in sort of a romantic... they're trying to protect someone they love, or they want to woo that person. This is a guy.
This takes...
This is a high school mook.
This takes the approach of, what if he wasn't a genius, but was just the guy in your algebra class? Now that's bold.
I believe he was a kung fu genius. Do you see all those spin kicks?
Apparently he was a kung fu genius who also knew how to rig explosives.
Yes, also his demolitions background,
Yes.
Really complex, and there's no explanation for that. It's just, he's rigged a huge bomb under the mall.
John, there's no explanation for any of it. I mean, also, this movie, there's always, usually in these films and adaptations, a mystery. There's some mystery as to is the motive or the origin of this character.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, we know that she had a boyfriend named Eric who died in a fire. So, we know exactly. And every time we have a flashback, we know all of Eric's backstory. And Eric's backstory is this. Nice guy, high school girlfriend. He's getting some house burns.
Yeah.
The origin, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And so there's no mystery. There's no mystery ever. And we do get a scene where he chooses his mask. And even that, you're like, ooh, should this be symbolic and awesome? No, it's just some dumb shit thing he just keeps robbing this one sports supply.
No, I do love that he makes his mask, of course, out of a mannequin's face, because it's a mall.
It's a mall.
Yeah,
right.
that's the symbolism of it.
You know what would have been awesome if he went store to store and built his persona. I would love it if that's where he got his mask. But as far as a costume, he does a hot dog on a stick outfit. That would just be
He's got
fucking
the little
bomb.
beanie.
He's got that big tall hat.
Yeah.
Well, we do get backwards. We get baseball cap Broseph Phantom in this.
We do finally.
Yeah.
Can I pitch you guys some alternate taglines here for the movie?
I'm ready.
We talked about the poster, but so the one that's on the poster we didn't say is "There was a nightmare at the mall." Eric the Phantom. I can't get past Eric the Phantom. Eric the Phantom.
Is he the one?
Yeah, Eric the Phantom struck. So also we have shopping will never be the same again.
Sure.
Leaning
hard into the thing.
at Midwood Mall, prices aren't the only thing being slashed.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And then finally we have, be nice to Eric, or Eric won't be nice to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you hear that? He won't be
most
nice.
People,
he won't
most
be
of
nice.
them don't even know Eric's still alive. So
No, I know.
No, this is
Be nice to
this is
whoever's in the air shaft, or whoever's in the air shaft.
This is another
won't
problem
be
with
nice
it,
to
as
you.
the Phantom Revenge story is. There are a couple people who wronged him, but there's also just random people about. Like, his revenge is not really, in terms of like crossing people off a list of vengeance.
Now, I don't think the custodial staff had anything to do with burning his house down.
He has to keep his secret.
The security guard
at all costs,
who's being pervy. Yeah, that guy sucks, but like murdered. All right. Anyway, let's get into the movie itself here.
Let's do it.
And I will fill in as
it
as
jumps
necessary.
right in. By the way,
this thing just fucking starts. I wasn't.
This movie just fucking.
This
starts.
is another movie that I was not prepared for the beginning of. Jesus.
I thought I had missed something.
It's the same thing. I will say, in terms of the title, that is one of the things that across the board, every single person interviewed is angry about. Including the people who actually made the movie, but they talked about that was a studio. It was always called, through writing, through production, it was always called Phantom of the Mall. For some reason, somebody at the studio got it in their head that it should be called Eric's Revenge, and everybody is going like, that hurt us. That hurt us bad, box office wise, because they actually thought. One of the things they said that was putting into people's heads, which was in mine when I was looking at this movie, when we were just building the list for this season, is I'm going, is this a second one? Because when they talk about when it's Phantom of the Mall : Eric's Revenge, people think, I never saw Phantom of the Mall, so I'm not going to go to this. They made it seem like a sequel.
Though, their thinking isn't, I'm sure the studio wasn't thinking this will sound like a sequel.
No.
But they were definitely trying to build Eric into possibly a franchise character.
Certainly.
Which, right till the end, where you're sitting there going, and now his eye's going to open.
And now his eye's going to open.
It doesn't. And then it doesn't.
That was so weird.
Well, I didn't want it to, but I thought that's exactly where they were going.
You could see that he was breathing, though.
Yeah.
Why else would you do a slow zoom in on this?
And then it really holds on him too, and I'm going, now.
Now I see where Christopher Nolan got the ending of Inception from.
Leave him with the tantalizing question, right? Will that I also love the screenwriters, once again, these bitter fucking guys in their 60s or whatever, and they're going, when they changed the title, they never even asked us. It's like, guys, they didn't ask you anything. You've made this clear, because at every moment they go, oh, we didn't even approve the director. Oh, we were never even let on set. It's like, no, they bought your script and then rewrote it. Why do we keep cutting back to these guys going, and that's another thing they didn't ask us about? They didn't ask you about anything. They fired you instantly.
Keep cutting back to them doing that, John, because, as you said, they couldn't get anybody else to appear on that documentary.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, let's just keep going back to the only people who talked to us.
Listen, I think
even though all they have to say is, it would have been better if we had done it.
They do, and they go, we would, and if we were there, we wouldn't have let that title happen. That never, not in a million. And because one of them goes, it gives away the mystery. You don't know, you should know who the Phantom is. And then what? When it's Eric, it's a reveal. Now people know. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, guys, okay.
Unless at no point in their screenplay did they ever have the blonde lead mention her dead boyfriend.
Yeah,
who was burned up in a fire. Yeah. Because if you took those references out and didn't have any flashbacks to them having sex with a bad song playing, and now if you took those out, maybe there'd be some mystery as to who the Phantom is.
My boyfriend lived exactly here and died in a fire. You don't think that will be pertinent to the plot, will it? Yeah, so we start right away with with Eric the Phantom crawling. He's crawling through these vents. He comes out of it into the sporting goods store, where he grabs a crossbow and some arrows, and immediately I'm like, okay, crossbow, interesting.
Hey, at this point, the movie still has me.
Yeah. And then
I'm like, Phantom with the crossbow, loving it so far.
How much do you guys love when he tries to pass himself off as a mannequin, and the security guy just going, "Hey, wait a minute, something's not right here. Hey, you ain't mannequin."
It's so drawn out that it's hilarious because Eric just stands still.
Yeah. And
the guy gets closer with his flashlight and closer, and it's 5 minutes of him. You know what? You ain't no mannequin. Like, wow.
And
great.
Like was and then Eric,
this pacing is on point.
Eric guts him with one of these arrows, and I'm almost thinking he goes like, if only you hadn't looked so close, you could have lived, man. But you had to confront me and say I wasn't a mannequin, and so now I have to kill you. Oh, boy.
The first 2 kills in this movie, which are this one, and then the other one is the guy that he shoves into the fan.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah.
Both of them, you're like, ooh, okay, they're doing full-on slasher, so we're gonna get some kills. But the thing in this is, both of them are shot so poorly.
Yeah.
And no one shows up, as in sound mixer. No one shows up because these are quiet.
Yeah.
The guy who gets like an arrow shoved through him to kill him, there's like a little, and he goes, ah, and then like falls dead. I think you would be like, ah! The guy who gets his face shoved into the big industrial fan goes, oh!
He does just kind of goes,
no, you would be shrieking, God damn it. And yes, blood would be flying everywhere.
No, that's unfortunate. Right. That's not...
it's like, I guess I'm dead.
That's
also,
really...
it's really hard to see what was happening in this first scene because of how dark.
Well, that's going to be a problem throughout the whole movie. I feel.
Well, hey, again, the guy who gets it in the shaft, who is a maintenance dude and gets his face shoved in the fan. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Let's say that's your job. Yeah. You don't go up into those air vents in the dark to do your work.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. You either have some extremely bright, like industrial light around your neck or whatever, or there are lights lined along those things, and you turn them on when you're up there. But this guy just goes up there in this shadowy dark, working on a fan. Mm-hmm. Fuck is that nonsense?
By the way, Matthew Mungle is the name of the effects guy.
I'm very sorry.
The makeup effects guy. But hey, he does go on to a very long career to this day of doing many things that are actually really of quality. So this is the beginning for him. But, he works on either in the makeup department or he ends up doing special makeup effects for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And he ends up working for CSI and X-Files and doing a lot of their makeup. And so, I mean, you got to start. This is early in this guy's career. Let's say that when I'm saying he was the D-list Rick Baker. I take that back a little bit. This is a guy just starting out in some
This
shit.
is the B- Rick Baker.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, he goes on to do... he's worked
It's a passing grade.
Big stuff. It's just that, and he does keep saying, like, I wanted to do more, and they told me spend less money. Which, by the way, seemed to be the overarching note across the board on this movie was, we wanted to do this, but the studio said we couldn't.
Does that surprise anybody?
No. I'm going to borrow this from the action shelf, actually, which is I do have the budget for this movie. If you would like to take... This is a game we play over on Lissman and I's podcast, The Action Shelf. Having watched this now, how much do you think this thing cost? Came out in 1989. What is your best guess for the cost of this film?
$250,000.
Lissman's going $250,000.
That's where my heart wants to go. But I'm going to say, because I've seen what it is, but I'm still going to go with a cool mill. $1 million.
Wow. $3 million this thing cost.
$3 million?
$3 million.
This movie?
$3 million movie?
Yeah.
Are you sure we watched the same cut, John?
This thing cost $3 million. Yeah.
Did they build that mall for this movie?
Down from, by the way, the original screenwriting guys, their movie was going to cost $4 million, and that's why they got fired.
Oh.
Okay.
Well,
And they're like, we could have cut it down. They didn't have to bring in other writers. And I also like that one of them goes, I don't hate the man who came in and rewrote us. He was just doing his job. Now I hate what he did. I hate every decision he made and the script he wrote, but I don't hate him. I'm just going like, how are you still mad that Phantom of the Mall got away from you?
Probably because it was their one.
No,
their
yeah,
shot.
The guy goes, I immediately said from that point on, I'm never letting anybody take another one of my babies. Like, and just going like, fucking Phantom of the Mall?
It's his baby. Don't mock a man's baby.
I just like the idea that this guy's like, and he goes, and from then on, I decided, I'm directing everything I do. From then on.
And did he, John? Did he?
No, he has no directing credits.
Of course. All right. Well, there you
go.
which is pretty funny.
If I'm not mistaken, is this Sherman Oaks Galleria the mall?
That's a good question.
I believe it is the same one. I've been to the Sherman Oaks Galleria.
Yes, it is because it's the same one that's in Chopping Mall.
Yeah, same one as in Chopping Mall. Yes. And apparently in those 80s, for a cool $3 million, you could shoot.
I gotta
at the
say,
Sherman Oaks Galleria.
I think Chopping Mall might be a slightly better mall-based horror movie.
Yeah, no, Chopping Mall is it's still crap. But it's so much fun to watch.
I love Chopping Mall. I've seen Chopping Mall a couple times. Like, I enjoyed that movie. And also, way better title. Better. Chopping Mall? Chopping Mall. That's a great title.
But whose revenge is it? They never tell us in that title whose revenge it is.
It confuses me, honestly.
I need so-and-so's revenge in everything I see, or else how will I know what I'm watching?
How do I know who to root against?
Yeah.
If the title of the movie doesn't tell me who's the villain, then I get confused.
Yeah.
Well, this movie wants it both ways. Boy, does it ever.
Yeah.
And that's true of a lot of Phantoms, but this movie makes such a hard turn into, I will protect you at all costs. I'm a tragic, romantic villain. And suddenly, oh no, I'm psychotic and you will never leave me. Well, happens within one scene. And you're like, wow.
Throughout the film, I was going, boy, this guy's less monster and more mall-based vigilante.
Yes, anti-hero, protecting his gal.
He's kind of
getting his revenge.
He's kind of like the Daredevil of a shopping mall.
He's not even just protecting Melody. He's protecting all of the women in the mall.
By the way, Melody, his name is Eric. She's not Christine.
Yeah.
But she's Melody.
Oh, I do love that.
Phantom.
Obviously, her name was Amy in the original first draft, and the original writers continue to call her Amy no matter what.
Amy.
That's her name.
Well, then that's even lamer. Amy.
Yeah.
Why use Eric as the name of the Phantom, which is the Phantom's name, if you're not going to name other characters?
Yeah.
Amy.
Yeah.
I prefer Melody, even though that's a stupid thing.
I agree. At least it's something.
It's something.
I mean,
it's a nod.
I would have called her Christine. I don't know why that would have been weird or anything.
Yeah, it is strange that they didn't even bother to go with the names.
They could have had Christine and Raul. They could have done the whole thing, but they didn't. And they gave us Buzz and Susie.
Apparently, at some point,
Gaston LaRose, Buzz and Susie.
Well, they could have taken from last week's movie and just changed Raul to Richard.
Yeah, Rich. Yeah. Oh, Richie.
Yeah, Richie. Hey, how you doing? I'm Richie. We'll talk about John Travolta's nephew in this movie.
We will.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking of Melody, she gets a job at the shopping mall, and this is all intercut. And her friend Susie is interviewing for a job at the clothing store. She gets a job as a waitress at a restaurant at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this is happening because this mall is the biggest thing to ever happen to this town. Because we see this big ceremony with Mayor Morgan Fairchild and the clearly evil and sleazebag owner of this mall, right? Like, the second he steps on his
recognizable
screen,
as evil.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, hello, I'm the villain. How's it going? Like, it really is just like, yes,
he's
I'm obviously the
developer guy who set up the mall. Now, the thing is, and he's, like a local mogul, but in his opening speech there in front, the whole thing is the mall is open. They're open for business because they're working constantly. But I guess what's coming up is the opening of a second part for July the 4th? So there's a big event coming up.
Yes.
And there's going to be some Spire, which they don't mention until 5 minutes from the end.
I do love what? The screenwriting economy of just going, and yes, we'll be holding a major 4th of July festival for our investors. And I'm like, that will be attacked by the Phantom.
Yeah, exactly. So he's doing this speech, and in it he's like going, I wanted to give the children of our town a place to hang out or whatever. And he goes, as a beloved father myself. That line... And those are the words he used are so awkward out of anybody's mouth that half of me thought the actor made a mistake, and it's something like he was supposed to say as a blessed father or as a lucky father or whatever.
Voted one of the town's most beloved parental figures.
Yeah, don't believe me? Here's this mug, and it says #1 dad on it. I have no idea.
Officially voted world's greatest dad.
I mean, it is ironic because within like a minute or two, we discover that his son is the town's biggest, douchiest.
This Judd Nelson wannabe. Like I couldn't. The second he comes on screen, I'm going, a little John Bender action from this guy, maybe.
Oh my god, and so overdone, community theater overdone.
Yes, he is the nephew of John Travolta.
And not such a good actor.
Yeah, he did not get his uncle's talent. Yeah. They did, but oh my god, they talk about it so much on the documentary. You know, he was Travolta's nephew. We didn't even know that when he came in. We were just impressed. Also, here's the comment I think you'll love the most from the director. He goes, this is the movie that really set my entire career forward and sort of my reputation as the guy who makes movies that look much better than their budgets.
Okay.
And both Brennan and we both guessed that it was under the budget of what the movie
I just love this idea
because it looks
sorry, in
cheap.
this case you're the guy known for making a movie that looks worse than the amount of money you actually got.
I know, I did, because I just finished the movie I was doing. I watched this documentary. I go like, oh man, dude, I don't think that's the. This is also the guy that goes, when I got the script, I read it and said, there's nothing original here. This is pretty derivative, and but whatever, I'll do it.
Until I saw Pauly Shore's acting in this movie, like before he shows up on screen, I thought, I thought easily a big chunk of the budget would have gone towards his coke. But when you see him in this movie, no, he's not that character that we're used to. So he actually seems so lame, like so flat line of an actor. I was like, no, I don't think he did coke on this set.
No.
I think he actually took this seriously, and that's a shame because he's not a good actor.
No,
and this is a terrible script. Yeah, he looks a little like lost, as in like, I've got to do a good job in this. Fan of the Mall, I'm breaking out.
The director said he saw him at the do a set of the Comedy Store, and he said, we got to get that guy to play Buzz.
That guy's a Buzz. That's our Buzz right there.
That's what he said. I called the producer and I said, I stop with the casting. I found Buzz. This sounds like I'm joking. I'm not. This is really how the guy talks on this thing. Like, they're all talking this movie up. Like, yeah, we compromised on some places, but it really worked out, and it's a classic.
But here's the thing. There are probably people that feed that. Every movie has its diehard fans.
And he's talking about that. He goes
yelling at us about how we've missed the point and that we have maligned a classic, an underappreciated classic.
Well, and the director does go, I get emails all the time from people all over the world telling me how much they love this movie.
Yeah.
And this guy's directed plenty of other things. Lots of TV. No surprise.
There are people out there that have, that are sitting there going, how dare he say diarrhea fountain?
Hey, this director did do one episode of Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman.
Great.
And 4 episodes of, this has come up more than once on this show, Baywatch Nights.
He's a natural for Baywatch Nights.
He is this movie feels like a Baywatch Nights episode.
Sometimes you find the right talent for the right project, and that seems like a marriage.
Lissman, I don't know how much you know about Baywatch Nights, but we're kind of
this is me discovering what it is right now.
Okay, so Baywatch Nights is a spin-off of Baywatch where what is it? Mitch, is that his name? The David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff,
the head,
formerly, lifeguard.
He was
character.
the head lifeguard. He becomes a private investigator and starts investigating crimes. Then they retool it for season 2 and decide he's investigating supernatural goings on.
Oh wow!
So the same character,
yeah,
that once ran down the beach,
Mitch Buchanan,
is now fighting vampires.
Yeah.
So in Baywatch, same place.
Yeah. Yeah.
This sounds like the greatest show of all time.
It is.
And also,
I'm very excited to check it out.
I didn't know Hasselhoff is one of the credited creators on it. That's amazing.
Of course.
Yeah. Hasselhoff goes, what if I fought vampires?
I would have loved to have been in that room where he's just like going, okay, guys, I want to hear your zombie pitches. I know I got to fight a zombie. How are we doing it?
It's one thing if it had spun off Baywatch into monster stuff. That's crazy. But the fact that they tried to do a crime show, nobody wanted it, so they go, all right, fine. We're going to put some ghosts and shit in it.
We're going to put a couple Draculas in there, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to see head lifeguard Mitch Buchanan stake a vampire. And until I see that, is this even a show? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I love it.
Baywatch is a crazier place than I ever thought it was.
Who knew? It
was on a hellmouth.
This guy did make a movie called Christmas Crime Story, Lissman, that we may have to watch over on the action shelf. We love a Christmas action movie.
Sean, you cannot avoid talking about this movie anymore.
Sorry. Yes. Well, let's talk about our leading man, Rob Estes. Oh, is he hunky by the standards of this era?
Okay, here's the thing I'm going to say about his character. Rob Estes, again, if you know him at all, he got his big break in Melrose Place.
Yeah.
Handsome guy. That's his thing. I'm a handsome guy.
Yeah.
So he's a local reporter.
Yeah.
And he's a local reporter, shows up covering this, the press conference about the mall and all that, and it's great. The thing I love is, in case you forget he's a reporter, every scene you will see him in for the rest of the film, he either has a camera around his neck, or he's going up to a newsstand, a newspaper machine that's inside the mall, and getting the day's news. There are about 15 shots of him in this movie walking around with the day's newspaper folded under his arm while he's walking around the mall.
How else will we know he's a news hound?
I know. And every time he has an idea in this movie or he's hit on something like a good detective, he smacks the newspaper into his hand. It's like he has one character beat. He's like going, Buzz, smack. I think there's something up with this mall. No, it's like, God damn it, stop. It's so lazy.
We'll get to it. One of my notes is just he puts together the most obvious clues to figure out what is clearly going on.
Yeah.
You're telling me, Wait a minute.
Thank God this one newspaper reporter. By the way, I love the fact that cops, as an actual police officers, never factor into the story.
Not once, not ever. Not
it's
a
only
single
mall
one.
Security.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which
detective
apparently has just carte blanche to do whatever they want, mall security, it seems like.
Holy shit! Well, I mean, we do know that the most outrageous of the mall security guys is a hired assassin, but still, leaping on top of elevators and fucking mowing people down in the parking lot and throwing a child in a fucking carrier, a baby in a fucking carrier, he knocks it to the side. I'm like, this dude would be not just fired, he would be in jail.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I do like that there's any mystery that this guy is the murderer. Once again, you're just going like, you mean the guy who acts like a murderer in every part of the movie?
I love the fact that when he talks to Melody and he's like, I need to know everything you can remember about the night your boyfriend burned up. And she goes, well, there was a guy with an earring. And that becomes like the big tell. Is as like going, okay. And then the first person he sees as an earring is this guy. And he goes, gotta be him.
I also love the scene where the
it's 1989, guys with earrings. Where I had an earring in 1989, so it wasn't that rare.
No. She said, but she does say he had a religious medal.
Yeah, okay, it was a medal.
Yeah, so that's the thing that sets it. But as if never mind. This is a brilliant script. No, one of my favorites though is when he's talking to the owner of the mall, who's the bad guy, and he goes, "And take that earring out. It's like you're saying I'm the murderer." And the guy goes, "Over my dead body will I take this earring off. You hear me, pal?" And no explanation for that. That's just that's the movie thinking that's just a character trait they've given to this guy.
Honestly, I'm surprised they called any attention to it beforehand. Anyways,
it's one of the fun. It's something I love in bad screenwriting. It's like, this makes no sense, and the movie's just like, "Hey, that doesn't make sense." And the movie's like, "I don't fucking care. We're gonna call it out and then just move on."
I gotta talk about my favorite thing that exactly ties into that. All right, so
we gotta get back to the actual plot, but yeah, go ahead.
We have Melody. Well, this is part of the plot. In fact, it kind of ties in. Melody and Susie. Okay, so Melody is the sweet young thing who's the innocent, whose boyfriend died. Susie is she's sweet, fairly innocent, but she's a little bit more of a playful chick, a party gal.
I guess
they're both blonde. I guess, whatever.
You can only tell by the outfits, really.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So they stop at the frozen yogurt place, which there's only one employee, and that is a guy that they tolerate. Is he a friend, or do they just tolerate him? A guy named Buzz, and that's our boy, Pauly Shore. And they're getting some frozen yogurt while the mayor is being shown around the mall and talking to the press. Okay, so that we're basically right here at the plot. But while they're getting frozen yogurt, and Pauly Shore is doing his best to keep the weasel at bay, but he's like, "I'll get you frozen yogurt." He's doing a vanilla yogurt, and she goes, "I'd like trail mix in it, please." I'll put some of that in there. And then he gives it to Susie, and Susie goes, "Oh, yummy!" And then there's an ear in it.
Yep.
Oh my God! And it's this ear, and she goes, and he goes, "I was just playing." And she goes, "Thanks," and gives the ear back. And
what
it's
does
apparently
this have to do with absolutely
because
anything?
It's a setup for one of the biggest payoffs in the whole movie. So he takes the ear bags like, "I was just playing," and then he eats it. So I'm like, even if that was a rubber fake ear, he's eating a rubber fake ear, doesn't matter. The whole reason this was in there was to show Buzz is a scamp. He is a scamp. And it's also to set up later when the Phantom Eric kills a security guy upstairs. The guy's eye pops out because he gets fried. We're not there yet, but this guy gets fried. His eye pops out.
By the way, the makeup artist was very happy with the eye popping gag.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
I'm sure.
He talked all about how it was rigged up, and he had the head, and he was showing.
And you know what's good is when you have a director that says, "I can't be subtle about this because I want people to get it." So the eye pops out, and we follow the trajectory of the popped out eye, and what we see we then see it is sitting bloody on top of a box that says frozen yogurt mix.
I didn't see that.
Okay, so later in the movie, there's Buzz makes another vanilla yogurt, frozen yogurt, and it has the eye in it, gives it to Susie again. He doesn't see there's an eye, and she goes, "Very funny, Buzz," and throws the eye away.
Yeah,
but it was
what a payoff. You mean that it nobody ever even also
that
it's in the frozen yogurt
genius construction, but
also it's in the frozen yogurt mix.
Yes,
that was mixed in, and then the eye is fully intact.
John, you're jumping on my point, but that's exactly where I was going with it.
Yeah.
We don't see how the bloody eye gets inside of a closed cardboard box, which on the inside would also have a plastic-lined bag probably holding the frozen yogurt mix. So we don't know. Whoever was restocking said, "Oh, this probably goes with this." Maybe. Opened up the box, opened up the bag, put that eye inside the bag.
Buzz was restocking.
It was probably Buzz because he's the only employee. And he says, "I don't want to get fired, so I better make sure the severed eye gets inside there. And when I freeze this mix, I better make sure, as John pointed out, I better make sure that eye doesn't get chopped up somehow, or because and that it can actually get through that little funnel. Because the frozen yogurt has a little funnel.
Yeah,
I got to make sure it's still going to get through their hole
very
and
malleable.
that it ends up sitting right on top.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And also, this happens like 40 minutes after we see this. Like, to the long point where I went, wait, what? Oh, yeah.
Actually, I was waiting the whole movie because I knew it would pay off, and
Yeah.
then because we had already seen the ear scene.
Yeah.
And that is the example of some screenwriter, whether it's the original dudes or the guy who took over after, sitting there going, "This is going to kill.
Yeah.
This is awesome." Without him sitting there going, "Wait, how does the eye actually get in the-" I mean, it's the simplest, dumbest bit of logic dance around for the sake of a payoff.
Jeez.
That is so fucking lame that I did laugh out loud. I laughed out loud loudly in my apartment because I could not believe.
Did you guys think that somebody was going to eat the eyeball because they set up Pauly Shore eating the ear?
That's what I mean. There's no real ending to it other than, oh, it's in the frozen yogurt and she tosses it out. There is no gross out gag with it, actually, really.
No, it's almost like they were going, the audience is going to be afraid she's going to do it, and they'll be relieved when she doesn't, but they'll still be laughing at, oh my God, that's where that guy's eye ended up?
Yeah.
They really thought it was going to slay.
Yeah. Well.
Holy shit, man.
But
I have a stack of screenplays I have never sold.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, including ones I wrote when I was 19, are better than this kind of shit. And they spent $3 million on this thing.
Lissman and I have written some less than great stuff that is better than this. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. It's not hard.
No.
However, Buzz is brilliant, and I loved that gag.
I do love when Rob Estes now Buzz MVP of the movie.
For sure.
He does save the day.
I'm a motorcycle man.
Hey, everybody, there's a bomb in the mall. Everyone should get out. I'm going to get on my motorcycle now.
It's the weasel. No, Polly. No weasel. You promised us. Okay, man.
We're not zoned for weasel. We actually have signs out. This is a weasel-free zone.
When Rob Estes comes up to Melody, goes, I thought I remembered you from somewhere. That fire where your boyfriend burned to death. I took your picture. And he goes, you were pretty messed up that night.
Yeah.
God, he's so thoughtful.
Yeah.
I'm so glad he checked in with her emotional state on that. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
the night where you almost died, but your boyfriend was burned to a crisp.
Yeah,
you were kind of. I mean,
do you remember me? I was the photographer.
I told you some funny jokes and stuff. You didn't laugh. I thought maybe you thought I was lame.
Yeah.
I don't think you were wearing makeup because you look terrible.
Yeah. Also, isn't she in high school?
Probably.
And he's how old?
He's probably a couple years older.
But
he's old enough to have a regular job. I
wish he had gone up to her and said, "You look familiar." And she's like, "I don't know if I know you from anywhere." Then he takes out some ash and smears on her face and goes, "You're the girl from the fire."
That's it. Yeah. Now I know you are.
Now I know you.
Yeah. And she goes, "Yeah," and he goes, "Didn't you say you saw a guy with a weird religious metal earring?" She goes, "Yeah, but no one believes me." And Eric was murdered.
Incredibly far-fetched.
Yeah.
Why did he bring that up? Did he see a man with a weird earring before,
yet.
Or did he just latch onto that one detail that he remembered from however many years ago?
That's my in with her, right? I can't just go up there.
Okay.
I have to do something that's going to separate me from all the other guys. So I'll say, "Hey, I believe you."
I'll bring up her trauma and her dead boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then she'll want to fuck me.
Most guys will just come up to her and go, "You look really cute serving that food in that restaurant. You want to go out sometime?" That's them. They're going to fail. I'm going to bring up the death of her boyfriend and the guy who got away with it. And little details about him.
We do see that that lame attempt on Susie from Baby Travolta later. When he is just
Baby Travolta. Everyone is bad in this movie. Everyone is a terrible actor in this movie. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Even Rob Estes, who goes on to whatever.
Yeah.
And Morgan Fairchild, who I like generally, whatever. But
Morgan
everyone's
Fairchild ever been really good in anything? She's fine by TV stand. She's as good in this as she is in anything, really.
She is primetime soap opera good, is what she always will be.
And that's about what she's given us here.
No, that's fine, but and that's all she's called upon to do here.
Yeah.
I mean, she gets the villainous turn of
I
have a gun.
I love the guys on the documentary going, it was a huge deal when we got Morgan. That really sent this picture to the next level.
But I mean, the two Playboy playmates in this, and I'm not saying that to demean them at all. But
only one of them is actually a Playboy playmate.
I thought they were both Playboy.
No,
playmates.
the girl who plays Melody was Kimber Sissons, who plays Susie. You can decide if this is more or less embarrassing. She was one of the original Spudettes in the Spuds McKenzie commercials.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, I
Christ.
thought she got naked somewhere.
She was a former fashion model, it says, but I don't see anything about her being a playmate. She also went on to have a child with Richard Grieco.
Hey, congratulations. Well, this is what I'll say is that no offense to either one, and I'm not meaning to demean anybody, but I mean, it's beautiful actors have to be, they're literally a dime a dozen in LA. Mm-hmm. Could they not find attractive women could act? Because these two women can't act. No offense to them or their families.
And it's clear right away.
They can't deliver a line. Yeah. And I feel worse for Melody because she has to play, at various points, sad, traumatized,
Susie's
scared.
A one-note character as written, so it's not
She can't even do it.
No. It's...
Man, when she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Eric, that this happened to you. I can't be with you, by the way. I'm sorry. It just can't happen. You look hideous now, and I love this other guy now.
Yeah, her turn I don't really understand most of...
I can't stay with you anymore because I've seen your face now, and it's really fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it reads as, right? Like,
the
whole movie she's going, Eric, my beloved Eric, I miss him, he was murdered. Why doesn't anyone believe me? Hey, Rob Estes.
And when he's like very tentatively taking the mask off, you know that she's going to be sympathetic, and she is. She goes, "Oh God, oh," and then she's like,
"But
good luck with all that. It's really a shame.
I feel bad, but my sexual attraction to you is done now. It's
even
over.
When you play our song, which we get to hear about 4 times.
Oh, that song." Apparently, according to the documentary, there was an extended dance scene that was cut out of the movie. Too.
Ooh. Oh, we missed that?
I know.
We got denied.
Shit.
They talked about a fully choreographed dance number that was cut out of the movie. Because they said originally, but for budgetary reasons, once again, there was much more musical kind of stuff in it, truer to the source material, they said. So
that was something that wasn't filmed, or that's something that was filmed? But
I bet that was something to do with the 4th of July thing. I'm sure it was supposed to be. The 4th of July thing was probably supposed to be their masquerade ball type scene, where that's the big event that the Phantom's going to destroy. And
bum, 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 bum. Mm-hmm. Bum, bum. We have to do it. We're contractually obligated to do at least one of those every time we talk about a Phantom movie.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
So yeah, I do love. Let's talk about the when the punk son comes up to the owner of the mall, and I love that. Yeah, he's just a piece of shit in every single scene with no redeeming qualities ever.
You think they're going to do something where it's revealed. I mean, we know that obviously his childhood couldn't have been great.
I'm waiting.
But you would have thought there would have been one scene where he goes, I don't know, man. Maybe you fucked me up, or maybe only you'd say you were proud of me.
Where's the John Benders? Where's the real banner year at the Bender house?
No, this guy's
smoke up, Johnny.
This guy's just a sociopath. He's the rich kid who still steals from the arcade.
Yeah. What did I say? Get out of this mall, son! I just love that every scene with him is like, oh, I'll escort his ass out of here!
Yeah, our main villain guy, until the big reveal at the end. The main villain guy who is the realtor dude.
You're talking about Harv Posner is the character's name, played by Jonathan Goldsmith.
Sure. Who is evil. Basically every scene is him dealing with the kid and then basically saying to security, mall security, like, keep an eye on it and escort my son out of here. He's not allowed to be here anymore.
Oh my God. Okay, I just looked this guy up. The guy who plays Harv Posner. And I go, oh, his IMDb photo looks familiar to me. he has a huge career right now, as he is the spokesman for Dos Equis, and
he's the world's most fascinating man.
He's the most interesting man in the world. That is what that guy's doing now. That's crazy.
Wow. Okay.
So basically, now, I don't think they ever stated, but isn't the whole idea of the Dos Equis commercial, isn't he supposed to be something like a Latino gentleman?
Yes, because he's going, no, I don't drink beer very often.
I love the fact that that's given to us by Jonathan Goldsmith.
Yes.
Who in this movie is about as New Yorky, East Coast slickster guys. Is like,
in fact,
what I say that goes in this mall is going to happen. Do you understand?
To the point
that's the world's most interesting man.
I actually thought he was kind of, obviously everybody in this movie is bad, as we said, but I actually thought he was kind of a weird choice, like his physicality, his look. I don't know. He didn't come off the way I wanted the rich, evil owner of the mall to come off exactly.
Well, I will say he does seem to be East Coast, whereas this is so clearly trying to be California. This is trying to be a California
something about
mall
him didn't jive
setting.
with me. Yeah,
I was like, did you come out to LA and buy up this land? Because you just don't fit.
Ever since I got here from Brooklyn,
Except for he does seem very tan, and I will say that's LA.
Yeah. He's still very tan. He's so tan, he's passing for Latin on TV now.
I'm happy that his career survived this. And
well, he has maybe the most credits of anyone prior to this movie. He was on every TV show starting in the 60s until, now pretty much. So he was already doing a lot.
So if I wanted to eventually become the most interesting man in the world, I just have to be in a piece of shit movie like this?
Yeah,
is that the lesson you're learning?
Find your Phantom of the Mall, Eric.
And that you can pass for different ethnicities.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't, so I don't think I need to.
I've never questioned him in those commercials, to be fair, though. You put the beard on him, and it's unfortunate, but it is.
And you're like, I'm sorry, you are the most interesting man in the world.
Let's talk about the poor AC guy who gets a fan to the face.
Yeah, this guy, again, like I said, it's a weirdly quiet death.
Yeah. And he goes, this is where the makeup artist in the documentary goes, yeah, once again, they mostly did that in cuts, so my job was basically putting some fake blood on a dummy's body. Not that exciting, but it looked okay.
The whole reason this guy dies is just because he's fixing a fan in the ducts.
Yeah.
And Eric's like, I don't want anyone to discover me.
Seems like it would have been drawing less attention not to kill
this
guy.
just to hide and let that guy finish his job and go back down.
That guy wasn't going
Instead
to
of suddenly having an employee that goes missing forever.
Well, clearly they're not keeping that good a track.
And also,
well, they do bring him up later. They do bring him up later. Like at one point, they're like, "Well, this guy disappeared." They're talking about the assassin guy who gets killed, and that's added on to this other guy. And even the guy who runs a place who knew that the assassin was gone was like, "Really? Another guy's missing?"
And I like that he just goes, "He probably got work elsewhere." And the guy's like, "Okay, sure, yeah." The guy started just goes, "Yeah, I buy that."
Or were they talking about the security guard?
They're talking about the
That's
pervy.
what I thought.
They're talking about the pervy.
So this maintenance guy is never mourned or missed. Wow, that's terrible.
So. Yeah.
No. The pervy guy, he says he fired. The assassin guy isn't dead yet when this conversation happens.
I thought the assassin guy was dead at this point.
No, it's the pervy guy.
The pervy guy, right? And then he has he calls the assassin to get rid of that body. This is the one thing. Another thing I love about the screenplay.
Yeah,
this is brilliant. We're not to it yet, but a security guard gets offed by the Phantom, by Eric.
Yeah,
and he's the guy whose eye ends up in the yogurt. By the way,
yes, and his other eye is just sticking up. So this bot is because this guy falls out of the vent. This movie, he falls out of the vent onto the owner of the mall's desk, right?
Yeah,
So his body is on his back, but his eye is not sticking out and down over his eye.
No,
it's sticking like it's on a little spring that's going boingity 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 boing.
Well, I mean, you clearly don't know anatomy, John, but that's what happens. So
it's a
that's
coiled
right, man. That's
metal
on you.
spring.
That's rigor mortis right there.
That's exactly it. So, but what I love is that at that point, our villainous mogul says, "Don't worry, I know pardon me, I burped. I know who can take care of this. I know just the guy.
Yeah.
He knows one guy.
Who
and
does
the one guy is
everything
the same
for
guy
him.
who set fire to the house before. This is what I love. It's like, okay, he's calling in an expert. This is a cleaner. This is someone who's going to take care of this.
Wolf.
No one will ever know this person.
He's calling in Keitel from Pulp Fiction.
All ponytail and earring guy does is put the body in a dumpster.
Yeah.
And set it on fire. And then stand next to the dumpster.
Hey.
And I'm like, oh boy, that guy knows his stuff, man. That's how you do it.
He's the best there is at what he does.
He's the best there. And what he does is not very nice.
To be fair, it's a small town, okay? Not a lot of options
I know
available.
a guy. I got to call him in. Where is he?
This guy is the top. I tell you though, this guy is a good actor. This guy who plays this part, it's unfortunate that he's
great. Although he's crap in this.
Although as he says, he has become lifelong friends with the black security guard who's kind of his partner in the movie.
I like that guy, and I've seen him in other things.
But
apparently, I don't know what kind of a career he's had.
Apparently, they really hit it off, and he goes, "Oh, we've played bad guys together in a bunch of stuff. We did a Renegade together back in the '90s where we were bad guys." I just love that he goes, "I was just texting with him the other day. Like he and I have become." I'm like, well, that's cute.
Yeah,
that's
one good thing.
That guy's been in a million things, including he's been in pretty much every Rob Zombie movie.
Yeah. And this guy's been in so many things. Like I said, he's Mac's dad on It's Always Sunny, which is he's hilarious on there. And
dude, are you getting paid by them? Because you keep bringing it up.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Is slipping you like a check every week?
Yeah.
Make sure you bring up It's Always Sunny. Okay?
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Sundays at 10 on FX. I don't even know when it's on because I watch it on Hulu like most people.
Yeah.
This guy did play Acrobat Thug #1 in Batman Returns, so that's pretty
nice.
Cool. That's pretty cool. Right, he has a history of playing a lot of henchmen in action movies. That's what we saw him doing in Stone Cold. He was a henchman whose name was AWOL.
Nice.
Yes. He was the chopper pilot.
The chopper pilot who Brian Bosworth sends a motorcycle at his helicopter and blows him up.
Wow.
Sends is a strong word. He sidesteps a motorcycle.
To be fair, a motorcycle is riding at Brian Bosworth, who then steps out of the way of it and it goes into a helicopter.
That sounds very exciting.
It was great.
That movie's pretty exciting. So anyway, Melody, meanwhile, just falls in love with this purple dress. But, she's saving up for school. And so she really shouldn't splurge on stuff like that, no matter what. Her party friends... Yeah, they don't do a good job of making Susie the irresponsible party friend. This is about as irresponsible as she gets. She goes, you should buy a dress.
You should buy this really cheap purple dress.
Oh my God.
I know we're saying it's expensive, but this is an incredibly cheap
dress. It is the shittiest looking prom dress. Why does she want this?
You guys weren't around in 89.
This
is top of the line. This is where that $3 million budget went.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right there.
Yeah, right on this. And of course, when she goes out to her car later, and by the way, of course, in this mall, there are so many darkened, empty places, including this parking lot. Listen, you and I used to work at a mall, and it was never like pitch black. Walking out to your car in the parking lot.
To be fair, this mall was still, it was just open, so they probably hadn't put up all the lights yet.
Well, but still, one thing I love why about is she leaving later than other employees? Though that's the thing.
Well, in every scene we see that's supposed to be end of day at the mall.
Yeah,
Melody and Susie will be the last two people.
Yeah,
it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what night.
There's no
this
security.
One woman who works in a clothes store and one woman who's a waitress. Apparently, are the last two to leave the mall.
Management or anything. Nope. They are the last two people to lock up the mall, apparently.
Yeah, and they're out.
I'm also just now realizing that this movie takes place over multiple days.
Yeah, it does. It takes place over a while.
Did you think that Eric's revenge would be a quick thing? Oh no.
I mean, there's no indication of a passage of time.
To steal more equipment and to work out in his lair. In the Phantom Cave.
In the Phantom Cave. Because this movie only takes place at night, right? I don't remember there being any day shots.
That's unclear.
Day shots.
Is there?
It's something they talk about. They go, well, the real challenge was how do you make a mall scary? It's brightly lit. It's open during the day. We really struggled to figure out ways to make it creepy. I'm going, yes, you did. I saw your movie.
Yeah.
I don't.
You did not succeed.
There is not a single moment in this movie I would even remotely describe as scary. I mean, not even
Toilet Cobra.
No, not even a little. Because, like, we talked about that last week. By the way, last week's movie has become 10 times better since this. The Robert Englund Phantom of the Opera is a goddamn masterpiece compared to this thing. But that movie,
was so bad.
That movie at least had moments that were unsettling, at the very least. If not scary, there were moments where you're like, ugh. This thing
I would
has
say
nothing
that one
like
was
that.
a shit sandwich, but this is a diarrhea fountain, which means it's incrementally grosser and worse.
And
how is that movie better than this one? This one has a cobra that bites somebody on the the dick while he's on the toilet.
I need to also, again, I know I'm jumping around,
cobra,
but I need to talk about, again,
Yeah.
the brilliant construction of the script. There is, at some point, while we're seeing, we know the Phantom is revenging himself and killing people.
He's
but
revenging all over the place.
Melody is attacked.
Well, that's the scene. You're not
parking lot.
You're not jumping. That's after she finds the dress in her car.
Right. But she is attacked in the parking lot by a black-clad seeming rapist. And you're like, what's going on? What does this have to do with Eric's revenge? And Eric's up on the roof of the mall with his crossbow. Don't worry, folks. He's a great shot.
Yeah.
Gets the dude in the fucking shoulder.
He's really Batmaning up there. Like, he's chilling up there. He's just sort of guarding the parking lot, right? Like, on top of the roof.
He's Huntress. He's Huntress.
Yeah, the crossbow makes him the Huntress, yeah.
Helena Bartonelli.
Yeah.
And thunk, right there, gets the guy, and he runs off. I got an arrow on my shoulder.
Yeah.
So he saves her, and then, of course, the mayor comes up, which will happen when you're at the mall late at night. The mayor will just drive up.
Because the mayor's never not there.
But let's cut to, this is the first indication that there's any kind of weirdness as in a rapist. This is a new plot thing. And I'm thinking, how does this tie into the Phantom?
I'm thinking it's the same thing as the arsonist,
Just a few minutes from now, we'll discover that she goes, the guy had a limp. Yeah. That's all I can remember. And then we have introduced in the background once a guy who plays the piano in the mall. A guy who sits there in a tuxedo and he talks with an Italian accent. He's an older gentleman. Hello, I play the piano for the people. Yeah. And then the security guy, apparently she almost got raped and it was a guy with a limp. And the piano guy goes, pardon me, there's a time for my break. And then he goes and we see him limp. So literally, a second after we get this knowledge, he limps to the bathroom.
And when he takes his
and
jacket
Eric the
off,
Phantom knows apparently this guy's it. He takes off his coat in the bathroom, and see
he's pouring blood.
Huge bloody wound under his tux coat where he had the arrow hit. And he's like, and that is no good. I need to take a shit. And so he sits on the pot. And then we have Eric the Phantom in the fucking air vents, and somewhere in the previous 24 hours post-rape, Eric has found an Indian cobra. I'm not sure where. Somehow he's trained it. And
there's an exotic pet store in the mall, obviously.
Well, good call. Good call. There's probably like a puppy farm that has an Indian cobra in it.
Yeah, of course.
But the cobra comes back later.
Right. So and he's got it in the bag. And he dumps it out of the air vent. And somehow he also knows, by the way, because he's an expert in the behavior of Indian cobras.
Yes.
He knows that it will somehow be so offended by being dumped out of an air vent that it'll attack the first living creature it sees, which would be this Italian gentleman with his penis out. And so the Italian guy's like, in the crapper. There's a cobra in front of me. And the cobra... that is first a real cobra, and the shots of the cobra that we see, it's a real cobra in the set.
Yeah.
But then, for this, the world's worst sock puppet launches itself at his junk, and he goes, This is the first death on screen that sounds like someone actually is dying and being hurt.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
he shouts
his revenge.
No!
He goes, that is some spicy meatball.
Not my Italian sausage.
Exactly. Not my Italian sausage is what he says.
Yeah.
as the cobra bites his penis and he dies.
Yeah.
So this entire subplot, let's call this plot D. It's not even the B plot or C plot. It's plot D. It's the rapist plot. Has encapsulated 2.5 minutes of screen time. Has served nothing of the plot other than to give the Phantom another victim.
That's all it is. And I will say,
that's all it is.
You'll be happy to know that on the documentary, the director does take credit for adding this. He goes, "This was never in the script. This was us. We came up with this while shooting."
We can tell.
Good choice. You knew what the audience wanted, and that was to have...
He takes credit for 2 deaths that were not in the script, and when we get to the other one, I'll tell you which one it is. But
a middle-aged Italian mall pianist rapist gets killed in the bathroom by
a bite
on the pianist.
By an Indian cobra.
Yeah.
And then the cobra, by the way, it does play later. I do like that it gets a callback.
Yeah.
That it's like, I'm still here.
He's a supporting character. Yeah. He's fourth billed. It's weird.
I saw that and I was like, what did this have to do?
No, you talk about laughing during this movie. I laughed so hard at this.
Me too.
Really got me.
Yeah, that's the best
I
part.
laughed the second the guy got up from his piano bench and was limping towards the bathroom. I was like, I wonder if it's him they were just
The whole
talking
scene is
about.
funny because then the ridiculous... He never even...
reveal of the blood.
He never even attempted to bandage that in any way. He came to work the next day.
Yeah,
like,
24 hours later.
On a second thought, maybe I should have gone with a bigger band-aid. Maybe I should have done a little more to cover up the fact I got a crossbow in his shoulder.
This Transformers Kids Band-Aid did nothing.
Why would he show up for work the next day where he
like,
had to play the piano?
I'm
with
fine.
A fucking arrow.
No. The people in the mall, they needed the music.
They count on me. Yes, sir. That's my baby. No, sir. God. I play through the pain.
The thing that's amazing is, as Brendan has indicated, he really loses the accent when he sings.
That's right.
Yes, sir. That's my baby. No, dude, never know he was Italian.
This movie
So are
is bullshit.
Is this movie trying to indicate that this pianist is part of the plot? That the corrupt
he enters. Have they purposely hired a rapist? You mean?
Sure. Well, the techniques he uses is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The point is the results, and he gets results, John.
Yeah, I rape very well.
Well, I studied at the conservatory with the piano. I'm very skilled.
Yeah.
Can play popular, can play classical. I have also raped across many continents.
Well, let's see.
Very skilled in the raping.
I see. I see you got a few rapes here on your.
See.
Yeah.
And
All
also
right.
you'll notice under hobbies it says horseback riding, and I know how to walk the dog with the yo-yo.
Okay, great. We're gonna put you to the piano and see what happens.
It sounds very good. Do I get a discount at the Orange Julius?
No.
Wait.
No, we can't.
I would
afford
love
that.
it if they had, like, at one point they had scanned across the walls of the mall as like employee of the month, and it's his picture. Like,
Yeah.
just send me the piano player, employee of the month.
I played a little well.
So
my
literally
ski
that served
mask.
nothing other than to show. It did show Eric protecting her again. That's
But
the whole reason for that scene.
We see that countless times. It doesn't.
But I do love the fact that the mayor has been on a late night crawl around the city, and she shows up in the parking lot right after the rape to go, Melody, teenager that I met once, are you okay?
Mhm.
Here, get in my car.
Yeah.
Let's go talk about how okay you are.
So then, as happened, she has what I described as a very 80s flashback sex scene.
It's the best. This is
well,
my favorite part of the movie.
I'll tell you this. Here's something I could... producers of films, here's something I can do without. Please no more kissing down someone's chest. I have always found that very uncomfortable to watch. It's always
Especially when it's a hairy chest too.
Yeah.
Like I'm just thinking like, gotta pick out the hairs
Yeah.
from
I will say this,
you know?
and when he's kissing down, he goes all the way to her belly button.
Yeah.
Pretty hot.
And they do talk about this on the documentary, that she was a Playboy Playmate, but she asked for a body double. And
you can tell because they cut.
Yeah,
I mean,
but they were all like,
I
was somewhat surprised that, which is great. Once again,
I mean that's kind of interesting.
Great job, guys.
I guess they were like, well, we just assumed since she was the Playmate of the Month the year before.
Well, also this was added after the rest of the movie was shot because the studio said the movie needed more sex. So she didn't sign on. It wasn't like from the start they said there was going to be nudity. The studio went, not enough tits in this film.
And then they made the assumption that she would, right?
Yes.
Did they do the changing room scene after too?
I don't know. I don't know if that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the case too.
Watch it, but when the people change in the changing room, it's not our two leads.
No, it's
because every time they're about to get they cut away or whatever.
Well, no, because even the guy goes, "Oh, don't go behind," which I do love that in the changing rooms, no one has any doors closed. They're all just out in the open.
No. And also they're stripping completely naked to try on shoes. It's very funny.
Better take my bra off to see how these shoes fit. Yeah.
I don't know if it does. I can't say with certainty.
How else will I know how
I like these shoes,
looks?
but I have to see how it looks when I am in just my skin.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that my vagina is in the open so that I can see how these shoes complement my vagina.
I don't know. Like, this hat looks good, but how does it look when I'm topless? That's the only thing.
I
can't figure
exactly.
out. Oh my god. Yeah.
So basically, everyone the mall has hired is a perv because, there is the one security guard who... And this doesn't happen, by the way. Yes, there are two-way mirrors, supposedly, in the changing rooms. Yeah. But you don't have live security guards sitting there going, come on. That's right, take it off. Yeah, take it off.
And generally, there's not a camera pointing at the,
Which, again, we need to talk about footage, because Eric the Phantom, when we see his private life, which is working out in the Batcave, in the Phantom Cave, working out. But then he's got, it's like, now it's time, it's Miller time, and what that means is pop a videotape in the VCR, which is mall security footage just of Melody, and those cameras are they're very good because they can track a person no matter where they're going.
They're also
they weren't a
following
security
her.
Camera.
Several of them are handheld and following.
Yeah, and then he also is popping in the cassette tape of their song because we may have only heard it 3 times so far. So let's make sure we hear it again.
And he has to watch it on 4 different television screens at the same time. Otherwise, it's just not the same.
Why would you?
This is one of the funniest parts of the documentary. Is one of the original writers goes, okay, the only thing I like that the new guy added is the part with the video screens where he's watching I almost said Christine watching Melody. He goes, that was pretty good. That I liked. I thought that was a good addition. I'm going,
credit where credit's due. That's great.
That was great. That's terrible.
It was very long too. It was like 5 minutes of just seeing his scarred the back of his head watching something else.
Did you think this was gonna get sexual too? I kept waiting for him to he's staring at these videos of her. I
John,
was waiting.
You don't see below his waist. You don't see honestly below the chest really here.
It's
so
true.
It could
just wanted to see
be such a disciplined masturbator that he can do it with a minimum of muscular effort to where if you stood behind him, you would not even notice he was doing it.
I just wanted to see he's watching that, and then the tissue box and the lotion pump comes out, and
I mean, okay.
And then the Cobra gets ready.
That wouldn't have made the movie any better. But would that have been a fresh and disturbing take on the Phantom? Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's make him. Yeah. Well, I don't think we've ever seen a Phantom crank in it in any of these movies.
Hashtag let the Phantom crank it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen the Gerard Butler version. We'll have to talk about that.
It's been a while since I've seen the Silent Great with Lon Chaney Sr.
Yeah, come to think of it, he may have been messing around. We do have a 2-part TV version with Charles Dance coming up, so who knows? I've never seen that. I'm sure the NBC version has the graphic masturbation scene in it.
Christine!
Charles Dance is like, I thought it was over the line, but I am a professional.
Now, I was a little more comfortable skinning that deer in Game of Thrones, but...
That felt very natural to me.
That to me felt natural.
Oh, I am excited for that because I do love Charles Dance. But Lissman, did you enjoy all the karate training montage that I was not expecting?
It was amazing.
Because by the time he's whipping that bow staff around, I'm like, what?
He's got the bar across the doorway thing so he can do the push-ups, the pull-ups.
Yeah.
And so he's doing that, and he's doing spin kicks. He's literally Jim Cobb. He is fucking bringing it.
He loves those spin kicks.
I have a question for you guys. You guys are Action Shelf guys. You have seen Eric fight in this movie.
Yes.
How do you think Eric, the Phantom, would do in Gymkata?
Oh, in Gymkata specifically.
Specifically in Gymkata?
Or, I mean, because, there is that big contest in Gymkata. Or you could use Kumite as well.
Oh, Kumite. Okay, yeah, I think we're both more immediately familiar with Kumite.
All right, Bloodsport, Kumite, how would Eric do?
He would die immediately.
Yeah, I think he'd go down pretty fast.
You don't think he would be the best of the best?
He has one move.
No.
And it's spinning his entire body.
Yeah,
with a kick
I would say there doesn't seem to be a lot of variety in his moves.
Okay, it's true. And maybe he needs a weapon. It's true.
He's lucky.
He could bring that bow staff. He could bring the bow staff. He could bring the cobra, to make it interesting.
Well, Kumite has no rules, so you could get the cobra involved.
I think so,
Yeah. And it is to the
maybe
death.
with the cobra he'd do all right.
Yeah,
maybe with an explosive device that he set on.
Yeah, could he also perhaps set a bomb somewhere?
Yeah, if he built a bomb out of various things that he found in a mall, then I think he'd do great.
All right. Yeah. I appreciate your
this is yet another thing where I'm like, it's 1989, so of course he just knows karate. Like, that's just part of it.
Yeah.
This is once again, this one is not the one produced by Menachem Golan. That was last week's movie, but this still feels like Menachem Golan was giving notes, like, and then also he should do the karate. He should also do the kicking. The audience is like that.
It is missing. It needs more the bosoms.
Yeah.
And it needs more breakdancing, lambada. And some kicking. Lot more kicking.
This was around the time of the lambada, the forbidden dance.
Who else would do the forbidden dance than the Phantom?
Also, Brandon, you brought up Gymkata, a movie we have yet to get to on the Action Shelf. But
I really thought you would have done it by now.
Yeah, we got to do Gymkata. Yeah, the gymnastics... Gymnastics and martial arts are the same thing.
When it gets to that last gauntlet where he's like taking everybody down, and this was pointed out by the We Hate Movies guys. They're like, how the hell did something that essentially is a pommel horse show up in the middle of this this village in Thailand or wherever the hell the fight takes place? They're like going, well, that's very convenient for this guy who's a gymnast, martial artist. Pommel horse, perfect.
Here's one of my favorite pointless scenes in this movie, and there are many. But this one between the owner of the mall and his son, where he's like, I thought I told you stay out of here. And what's that in your hand? Are you stealing from the mall? And the son just opens a can of soda on him.
And sprays it.
And then that's the end of the scene?
Yep.
Nothing comes of that.
Well, he kind of goes, take that, Dad, or something.
Yeah, and then he walks away.
And then the dad just sort of starts wiping himself down like...
And I just thought, that's a scene?
That's the whole scene. It took those characters a little further. It just took their relationship a little further. That's good screenwriting.
It reminded me of the tension between father and son scene in Death of a Salesman. I mean,
God,
this thing riveting.
I was thinking Great Santini.
Yes.
This is very much where they were sitting there as screenwriters going, we cannot forget those characters. We don't want the audience to forget them. Let's check in with them and move their story forward.
I heard Duvall was up for this, but scheduling conflicts. It was going to be Robert Duvall as the owner.
What could have been? Yeah.
What could have been?
It's more
Robert Duvall and Judd Nelson.
Yeah. Robert Duvall, Judd Nelson, who's like 30 by this time, but is still going like, whatever, Dad.
And yet still in detention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still holding me back. I haven't graduated yet.
Where's my turkey pot pie?
No cigarettes, mister. I'm 40. Come on. So I just thought that what another pointless scene. It's just like, we get it. He's a shit. I understand. He hates His dad.
I'm surprised the dad didn't try to get his son killed, you know?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I thought that was going to be, or I thought he was going to get the son to do something illegal, or I thought the son, let me just say this. I thought the son would play some role in the plot. No.
No.
He's just another victim for the Phantom. That's it. Eric
and he
the
doesn't
Phantom.
even creep on Melody, which is
No, he
interesting.
creeps on the friend and
He
then
creeps
gets
on
killed
Susie.
for that. Weird.
Yeah.
He's also,
it's weird. Because when that scene happens, when the son, who is Travolta's nephew or whatever,
yeah.
when he's hitting on Susie, he's creepy.
Yeah.
But he's not rapey. He's just like, I don't take no for an answer. Oh, come on, you're gonna dig me, you're being stuck up.
Yeah, the worst. He's just going like, "You're really cute. I think you're really attractive. We should go out." Like, yeah,
she's like, no.
He's being belligerent, but he never gets violent. He never does anything worthy of death.
But when he's doing this, they're cutting to the Phantom watching this through the security cameras with audio. Apparently, he can also zoom in and hear. The Phantom.
He's got better cameras than them all.
He's getting visibly upset. Like, this is the first time we've seen him watching footage. He's like,
and he's pounding the armrest of his chair. Like,
yeah, it's like, why do you care about Susie?
Yeah.
And why do you care that Susie's being hit on and not? I mean, this isn't rapey
she's
pianist
got it
guy.
handled.
This is just a dick.
Yeah.
But he's like, nope, got to kill that guy.
She seems
gotta
like
kill him.
She seems like she's got it handled. Nothing happens. Like I said, he's an asshole. But why he's like, I need to murder him now.
And he does.
Okay. This is the other death that the director took credit for adding.
Good.
Well, because I like that he goes like, well, it's a mall movie. We had to have an escalator-related death.
Right.
Can we add lassoing to Eric's skill set in this movie here?
He is so talented, Eric.
And also, once again, the mall appears...
I bet he could have written an orchestra, orchestral piece or an opera. He could have.
But this is, once again, the mall is closed, and the sun is just
the
hanging
escalator
out. Well, the escalator's going, and the sun is just, doing kickflips on his skateboard in the empty mall? What?
Doesn't suck to be the son of the guy who owns the place. I can just hang out afterwards and do
by myself,
tricks.
Which is so fucking cool.
Yeah. You would have thought that at some point we would have seen him with a gang of his tough friends.
Brendan, they can't hire that many people.
I know. Money. This is a lonely boy.
Sure.
I'm now feeling great sympathy.
This is actually, believe it or not, this is who the Black Keys song "Lonely Boy" is about. They saw this movie and said, that is one lonely boy. Hey.
Or the Paul Anka song, going back even further.
There you go. Paul Anka
because
references.
They're very old.
That's what we come here for. People come here
or Andrew Young's song from the 70s. There have been a lot of lonely boys.
Yes, there have.
Did you guys think that during the sequence that he could have stood up at any point?
I 100% thought there were any number of ways to have survived this.
What happens is, Eric does a lasso thing from the top of the escalator.
The other thing that's he's whipping the lasso for a while too, and the shitty son is just like, what are you doing?
Who's that? Who's that playing around?
Is that you, Dad?
Yeah.
It's not funny, Dad.
Dad, when did you start wearing baseball caps?
And it is an amazing throw if you think about it, because he's at the second level. He throws it down the full length of the escalator and catches the sun exactly. Now
around the neck.
Yeah, and then is able to cinch that enough to get it noose tight on him.
Yeah.
And then
he feeds it to the escalator.
Yeah.
Which pulls the guy up, and he just can't get out. He can't get out in time.
Yeah, even though, as Lissman pointed out, if he had just stood up, that would have at least stopped it and given him a lot of time to,
Also, this isn't a rope that he's being...
it's like a bungee cord, isn't it?
It's not even that. It looks like shoestring, you know?
It looks
like a shoelace of some sort.
Even the props are cheap in this movie.
Yeah.
$3 million.
Most of that went to this mall, right? Like, I think you're right on that, Brendan. A lot of it probably went to rent the mall.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Well, and I do like. There's also a great point where in the documentary where the director goes, "I was disappointed when they showed me the vent sets. I said these look a little big and square. These really feel like a movie set. They don't really look.
They really
real.
Look wooden.
Yeah,
you know,
and
like it's just a wooden.
And it
tunnel
seems like
that
the
people are
response was
crawling
just
through.
like, "What do you want from us? Like, I don't know." What do you? This is Phantom of the Mall, man. I don't know what to
response ever.
Yeah.
What do you want from us?
It's not like it's going to be well lit anyways.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
But I have to imagine this whole movie was just like this. Like, can we do this? Of course we can't do that. Are you kidding me? What are you crazy? We can't do that. I also love the amount of times people said, "Well, that wasn't really that person doing that stunt." It's like, no way. Morgan Fairchild didn't really get thrown out of like a third floor window, or they didn't really set the guy playing the Phantom on fire. He goes, "Of course that wasn't me." It's like, of course it wasn't you. Who the hell would think it was?
I mean, a movie this cheap, I wouldn't be shocked if somebody had that thought.
Let's just light this guy up and see what happens. But I do also like that the Derek Rydell, who plays the Phantom, the director goes, "Such a talented man. I don't understand why he didn't work more after this. I don't know. He's such a good actor. I really don't understand why he didn't get more parts." And he goes, maybe he just didn't want to. Maybe that was it. Maybe acting. Also, he is the nephew. Yes.
But he's also famous?
Yeah. He is Don Siegel's nephew. The great director. And he talks about how his first part where he got the acting bug was when he was in Don Siegel's Telephone with favorite of the action shelf, Charles Bronson.
Mm-hmm. And it was downhill from there, I guess.
Well, he doesn't work again for 10 years after that. And then I guess Bronson again. He's in Death Wish 4, The Crackdown in 87. So, and then a Mr. Belvedere and a couple other like after school specials. And then he is done, except for in 2002, he's credited with 8 episodes as the writer of Power Rangers Wild Force.
Oh, wow.
Well,
I don't know this one. Lissman, you familiar with Wild Force?
I'm not, but I am starting to understand where the spin kicks came from. I think that might have been his idea.
He's in his script. It just says another spin kick.
Yeah.
They talked about. Oh, they do talk about. He really worked on the martial arts on this thing. Really trained.
I'm sure.
Really fucking trained on this thing, man. It was. It was.
I mean, he didn't train with anybody. It was just himself alone in the room. But he did spend some time.
Well,
training.
he really got one move down, and then just kept doing that.
He rented at least 4 Sonny Chiba movies. He rented at least 4 Sonny Chiba.
The spin kick does look pretty good. It's just he keeps doing it. It's a decent.
Well, he only had an afternoon to practice.
What do you expect?
And if ever there was a person in this film that could have just said, "I'm not doing any of it," and don't have to, it's this guy because of the way that he's made up. It could have been stunt double from The Drop.
This is another one you'll love, Lissman. When he's time, he goes. It was laborious process to put the makeup on. He goes, no one would make eye contact with me. No one would look at me on the set when I was in it. And he goes, I really started to get legitimately depressed. He goes, but I just fed that all into the character. It just made the work better.
Doing Stanislavski proud. That's good shit right there.
Again, I mean, it is. I don't want to make fun of these people, but it is watching this movie and then hearing how serious people talk about it on
John,
the documentary. You're going like
this documentary.
Yeah.
If shot for shot, beat for beat, could be a mockumentary.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
It definitely could
like
be.
It sounds like a mockumentary. It sounds like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
It has
They're
that
honestly, earnestly talking about this terrible fucking movie.
And they're all
with
talking about
sincerity.
Yeah, I mean the writers who their script was robbed from them, and it was so brilliant.
All right, now this is where we call back to ourselves, and okay, we are slaying it because it is a diarrhea fountain.
Yeah.
But as John has pointed out many times in this podcast, and I will back it, anyone that sees a project through, They did not want to make a bad movie. In their hearts, they were trying to make a good movie. So I salute them. I salute their efforts. I enjoyed my however many minutes of watching this, like even 92? Though it was terrible. I enjoyed it.
93.
I bet they had fun making it.
Oh, they talked about, to be in a mall after it was closed. We loved it,
So I'm just going to say good on you guys, but it was a bad movie. So maybe temper your defense of it with, we understand it didn't succeed. Yeah. This was our perspective. But don't try to say, like, man, in another 2 generations, this will be rediscovered.
They're talking about because I mean they do acknowledge it has its cult fan base, which it does enough of a cult fan base for Arrow to put out this Blu-ray.
I guess in this dream sequence, I was really going towards. I was trying to capture a Jacques Demy. It was sort of like the Umbrellas of Cherbourg. I'm like, stop it, okay? You made a shitty movie in a mall.
Yeah.
I
specialized in making movies that looked better than their budgets. I mean, stuff like that. Where you're going like. I mean, some of it is maybe us being mean, but some of it is the pretentiousness of these people who come with making films. Obviously, there's a lot of pretentious people.
Well, that does paint a target on your back when you are being that pretentiously defensive of something that is really objectively everyone can look at it and go, bad movie.
Going back to last week, that Phantom of the Opera wasn't great. But when England is talking about really going for it, you can see that. I'm watching it going, we talked about, he is really good in it. So when he's talking about doing the work and really diving into the drama of it, it's on the screen. I think that it's the discrepancy here. It's the like, Jesus Christ, that was in method?
Service of something that doesn't deserve that work, but at the same time, the work is appreciated.
Whereas here
and
you're
it's
going
there.
like, okay, man, I know you were in character. Yeah, so anyway, one of the weirdest parts of this movie, and there's so many weird parts of this movie, but is Pauly Shore revealing the subliminal audio to Rob Estes.
Yes.
That doesn't come
and
back
it's not
anyway.
a big deal at all.
No, I like that Estes
goes, it doesn't matter.
That actually plays into the scene. I mean, in a weird way, that is the point of the scene is he's like going, I've got a scoop for you, reporter guy. You're going to love this. And he's like, okay. He goes, no, really, this is going to blow your mind. So they enter the security video booth when it's empty. He goes, okay, you listen to this. And then he's like, they play the music for the mall. He goes, yeah, it's the music for the mall. Big deal. And by the way, did you see that trivia?
That music is also in SpongeBob?
Yes. Great. But then he goes, yeah, but listen to I know. And he goes,
not in what capacity, who knows?
Yeah, and then he switches it over, and it's a subliminal tape of a woman going, it's safe in this mall. I like to shop here. I like to spend money at this mall. And he goes, see? And he goes, yeah, that's dumb. He goes, but they don't even hear it because it's under the music. It's subliminal. And Rob Estes goes, that is interesting, but it's not illegal.
Yeah.
So why'd you bring me in here? And then Pauly Shore's like, oh, well.
But here's the thing.
Let's move on to the next scene. Is literally what Buzz says. He looks at the camera and goes, let's move on to the next scene.
But here's the thing that got me about Estes. You're not a cop. You're a reporter. That's the thing that, it doesn't matter if it's illegal. That's unethical, which is
he's a reporter because he keeps smacking that newspaper. He always has it under his arm and he smacks it.
I'm telling you, that's just not a story.
Jesus Christ. The strange, okay, Rob Estes' character is falling for Melody, which is why he keeps going to the mall and asking her more questions about what she remembers.
To the mall.
He's putting together the big story.
Well,
but why would Buzz want to hang out with him? He's barely friends with Melody and Susie. He keeps trying to kind of hit on Susie, and she's very resistant.
But I love that that's just like, it's known, he's a creep, but we hang out with him, even though he's always trying to have sex
he's
with
just the third wheel, or he's the fourth wheel, or whatever. But he's just always showing up. Oh, it's Buzz. He's going to say something
ear guy,
wacky.
He's the ear in your frozen yogurt guy.
Yep. And also the guy most likely to show us his ass in this movie.
Oh, I did not need that in my life. I'll tell you that right now. I did not need that.
Whoa, are you talking about my new screensaver?
Pauly Shore
That's my lock screen on my phone
I
now.
guarantee you this is not the only movie where he shows his ass either.
I also guarantee you that was his idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, because later in the movie he has to lure a security guard out of that self-same booth. So what he does is, and I think the director's trying to wink because Susie goes, well, how are we supposed to get that guy out of there? He goes, I think I have an idea. So you're thinking he's going to have the girl do something on the camera. Instead, it's Pauly Shore comes out and does like, I'm teasing my nipples because it's kind of like what I do as the weasel. And you're like, great. And then he turns around and moons the camera. And we get a good look at that Pauly Shore ass as he walks down the hall. And that finally gets... This is what I love about that scene. He lures the security guard out of that booth, which allows them to go in and spend conservatively 45 minutes in that booth.
Yeah, they're in there a long time.
Sorry. If the security guard sees the guy mooning him and goes out into the hall, all he would do is look, see the guy's not there anymore, and go back in the booth. But apparently they send him on like a 2-hour journey of, I will find the mooner.
That guy's story. I want to know what that guy's been up to.
Listen, it's time for a fan fiction spinoff, and I want you to write it.
I'm on it.
This story through the POV of that security guard.
I'm gonna find... He never even knows about the Phantom. He's just looking for this mooner.
Also, he's not like, ooh, that kid who mooned me. He like leans forward, like he's very interested.
Let's see where this is going.
All right.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
No, okay. He's taking his pants off.
Show me a little more.
Also, he'd see which way that Pauly Shore went, so he could fall, because he goes right when Pauly Shore goes left, but he can see which way he goes on the camera.
Yeah,
well,
it makes it tough.
I would almost suggest, and I mean, this is me making a leap, but I would almost suggest that the director of this film didn't give a shit.
No, he specifically said he did on the documentary.
I would suggest that the director of this movie did not care if any of this made sense.
Yeah.
Oh, you seem to be mistaken. See, he makes this movie look better than the budget.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, I did believe.
Right.
So
where it cost $3 million, Lissman thought it cost $750,000. Oh wait, that's less, isn't it? Oh,
whoops. Oh, math. God damn it.
Never mind. Let's talk about this chase scene, because Rob Estes snaps a photo in the reflection of a security mirror.
It's the most awkward. This is the most... Well, I can't say it's the most awkward sequence in this movie, because we were just talking about Pauly Shore's
once
ass.
Again, it's another example where it's just like, yes, the way to deal with this and the way that will draw the least attention is to get in this insane chase across the mall that involves you leaping on top of the elevator of the mall.
I laughed so loud when the security guard popped up.
Well, yeah, because he's not only the way we find out he's on top of the elevator is he leans down into the glass and goes, ah.
Yeah, it's basically the scene from Nightmare at 30,000 Feet, the Twilight Zone episode. It's basically the gremlin on the wing. But essentially, Rob Essie's character follows the security guard who has an earring, because that's probably our guy, the murderer guy.
Yeah.
Follows him. There's only 12 people in this town. It's got to be the one earring guy.
Yeah.
Follows him into Sam Goody to surreptitiously watch the security guard while he's flipping through albums. Oh, that took me back. Flipping through vinyl albums. And he's like, how do I get a picture of this guy? I'll take a picture in the curved surface of the security mirror. Very good. But the security guard catches him. And they do this crazy chase through the mall. This is broad daylight, middle of the day mall, full of people.
To what end?
This does involve... I know. He also doesn't know why this guy took his picture or what he might suspect. He doesn't know this guy's putting murder pieces together in his head.
This guy's out in the open in the mall. It's not... Anybody could take his picture. He's not hiding.
No.
I don't understand.
He's literally just in Sam Goody.
Oh, shit. The jig is up. How?
But he chases that dude for life, and this is where he does, in fact, on an escalator, or he shoves a woman and her baby carrier. She shoves the stroller. He shoves the stroller.
Yeah.
We don't see a baby go tumbling out, but what else would be in that fucking stroller? That mom goes down going, oh my God!
They're
so sad there wasn't a sequence of a baby like just falling down.
Mother of God,
would have been so good.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's like, I know that they did it later in Untouchables, but this was kind of not later. I know they did. This was my battleship. This is my Battleship Potemkin
if
reference.
De Palma can do it, so can I.
But essentially, Estes just gets in the elevator in the mall, like, this is my great escape.
Got him.
And so you think he's good, but suddenly, yes, the security guard pops down and just goes, I'm on top of the elevator.
It's the funniest image.
If you had been just a customer in the mall that day, what would your thought have been?
Man,
it would be like,
I guess you shouldn't.
Security guard has lost his mind.
It would be like, man, you really shouldn't shoplift here. Jesus.
Yeah, did that guy just steal a Masters of the Universe figure from KB Toys?
Holy shit. God damn it. They will run
what,
you
it was Merman?
down.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
You gotta catch someone stealing Merman.
Yeah, man. He's a Chase figure, man. You can't. That's worth something.
This is the days before Chase figures, my friend. But it was the day of the mail order special figure.
There you go. Yeah, it was those days. Yeah.
But yeah, it's ridiculous. And then that chase all the way through the parking lot later, where it's like people are dying. By the way, because
there's a second chase with this guard.
Oh my God.
There's a car chase through the parking garage, also with this same psychopath. And yeah, he kills 3 or 4 people in that chase.
Mm-hmm. You're sitting there going, if you're the mogul dude and this is your all-purpose assassin,
this is their top guy. This is the best.
This is the best guy. Wouldn't you want someone who isn't quite so hair trigger and the most obviously criminal person ever?
Son of a bitch. Well, also, like, he was...
Because the other security guard is a straight security guard who's like, I don't know what's going on.
Here's the other thing that makes no sense. They introduced this guy as the fixer, the assassin, and then he's also just randomly a security guard, but we'd never seen him as a security guard before that. It seems
no, it's true.
He's pretending to be a security guard because the other security staff don't recognize him. They don't know who he is.
That's right.
I thought they did know who he was.
Estes says, I checked with security. They've never heard of this guy or seen him before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, what is the advantage of this? What, he's just rolling through the mall incognito? Except now he's not because he keeps killing people. Another 10 shoppers down today. Yeah, I don't know. When he swerves that car into the crowd, I don't know how that's not the end of this guy. I guess he does die in that scene, doesn't he? Later.
No.
Doesn't that chase end up with the Phantom killing him?
He ends up in the Crusher thing.
That's what I'm saying. But doesn't that stem from this chase? It ends up in there.
Is that part of the same chase?
Let me see here.
I can't remember.
We're all over the place in this movie. Oh, I do have.
I know.
Talking about the Phantom rage lifting weights. That's pretty funny. Like I said, we're all over the place here. It doesn't really matter. Oh, here's where Estes puts the everything together. Where he goes, what do you remember about that night when Eric died? It's like, well, let's see. The developers had been harassing him and his mother for months and months, leading up to before the fire. And Estes is like, you don't think perhaps they started the fire? Just going like, amazing detective work, Rob Estes.
And again, he sells it with that eyebrow. Once that eyebrow goes up, you go, excuse me, Sherlock Holmes at work.
Well, Estes was up for a Holmes reboot around this time too. Yeah,
makes perfect sense.
Man, Rob Estes, one of the most boring and bland actors I can think of.
That is exactly the case. He's one of those handsome, boring guys.
Basically, everybody who was on Melrose Place, I feel that way about. They were all very bland, pretty people.
That's true. Though I always had a crush on Courtney Thorne-Smith, but it wasn't because she was a magnetic actress.
She had some level of personality compared to the other people, though, I feel like. Because she did go on to do some more stuff. And I didn't mind, who was the mysterious, handsome guy? Grant Shaw. I thought he was okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks for taking me back there.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Rob Estes did marry Josie Bissett, or however you say her name.
Yes, that's right. The co-actors, they fell in love and got married.
Yeah.
That's kind of a beautiful story. I'm kind of glad we got to work that in.
Well, they are not currently married, of course, but
wow,
that didn't.
Wow,
work
that
out.
was again what a journey you took me on there.
Yeah. Let's see.
Lost all faith and love.
Parking garage slides into. Oh yes, because the way this car chase ends is the Phantom leaps onto the roof of the killer's car, and he ends up doing a full on like Dukes of Hazzard. Flip off of a ramp of some kind. And of course, it's just there.
Just a good old boy.
And Lissman talking about action shelf rules, right? This car crashes, and luckily, this guy gets out just before it inevitably explodes.
Pretty lame explosion, all in all. But again, this only cost $750,000.
I don't care what the numbers say. It only costs $750,000.
Right. Yeah.
The marketing budget was through the roof.
Exactly.
They did show the trailer in the documentary, which has the guy who narrates every trailer ever going like, there is something in this mall, you know. He waits. He stalks. You know, it's like, and then he's going, boom, 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 very Carpenter kind of, you know.
Very good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great stuff. Oh no, so I guess he doesn't die in that scene, but he's done in by the car crashing, exploding. Because then the next thing is to confirm the theory that, oh my god, this must be Eric who's doing all this stuff. There's only one way to find out if it is. We're gonna go dig up his grave and see if he's in there. Obviously.
I guess that's the only thing you could do.
Right.
Yeah, there's no other options.
Nope, that's it.
And spoilers, he's not. They dig up, it's an empty coffin.
Damn.
They do the thing that I love where it's like a perfectly dug square hole
that Rob Estes dug. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just with a shovel. He doesn't have a backhoe or anything, but yes, it's a perfect
Yeah. And he's not sweaty, dirty, or tired.
No.
And you're like, I'm sorry, but that does take a lot of work.
Yeah. And so, oh my god. And so, yes, this is the move where they go, the coffin's empty. There's only one person we can tell about this, the mayor.
Yes.
I know.
There's no law enforcement in this town.
They run right to Morgan Fairchild, the mayor, who says, all right. Let's not get hasty, though, or act on anything quick. I'm going to look into this.
Yep.
And I will say at this point, I am still going, Morgan Fairchild, crooked or not, can't tell.
Wow. That means that she is a good actor.
I was trying to think, is she going to be legitimately evil, or, as is always my barometer for this kind of stuff, Mayor from Jaws evil, more through inaction?
Right. Let's just cover this up, and that's what we'll do.
Yeah. No, she'll be proved evil in a completely insane sequence. But
one man's insane is another man's perfect.
So yeah, then we get what seems like a repeat of the sex scene, and I thought this is weird. But then Eric becomes Rob Estes, becomes Mac's dad from It's Always Sunny. I see this guy, that is what I think. I think that's Mac's dad from
It is. These sex scenes are very 80s because it's all blue light. There is not a lot of blowing fabric, though. But still,
we're not fully in a Tony Scott movie.
No, but it's blue light and it's slow mo, and the song is playing, and she's having sex
fireplace
with Eric
in the background,
and then it becomes Rob Estes, and then it becomes evil guy with the earring going, "Yeah, you like that?
Yeah."
And then she wakes up and she's like, "That wasn't nice.
I don't like that."
And also, Mac's dad's dialogue in this scene, he repeats later when he assaults her.
That's true.
So, yeah, it's like line for line the same thing. He says the exact same thing.
Because it's literally, she goes to work, like she wakes up from that dream in the morning, goes to work, and is immediately attacked by that guy.
Right. So it was a premonition in my.
I guess so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, they need to explore more of that. If she had precognitive abilities, I would have been interested in that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
No, last week was the Phantom of the Opera movie with supernatural elements. This week, all of this, totally conceivable.
Yeah, very realistic, honestly.
Quite a grounded thing. So this fight, which once again, there's so many dark secret places, because he takes her out of the main mall into some kind of back hallway that has no lights, and they're struggling, which is when Eric the Phantom gets involved. Yeah.
Yeah. Ha ha ha.
No, they have a whole fight here that's pretty lame.
It's lame, but it's supposed to be comic book awesome.
Yes. And at this point, this is where, because the third act is movie when Eric has to turn into full psycho, I'm like, oh, he's been kind of an anti-hero up to this point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, as good as this movie is, but I'm saying, I go like, oh, okay, I kind of like the idea of like dark vigilante Phantom.
Sure, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And here,
it'd at least be original. Yeah.
Here we
Maybe
see
that's
how
what was
far
in
he's
those
willing
guys'
to
script.
go.
Yeah.
Because he's like, but also he does realize this is the guy that burned his.
Well, and also it is in self-defense because first this guy tries to put the Phantom in the Crusher.
Yeah, in the cardboard crusher thing.
Yeah.
No, John, I know you said there wasn't any supernatural elements, but the fact that he's able to lift up a hydraulic press,
dude, that's just due to the angry weightlifting. He's getting swole.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's
able to push the. Here's the thing that's weird about the Crusher too. It's all about the door that closes it. The crushing never happens.
Right.
That's the hilarious thing is that this is treating it as if the door is the thing that crushes.
Yeah.
Every one of these things that I've ever worked with, the doors just close to seal off the thing that crushes on the inside. It is a protective thing.
Yeah.
But in the case of this, the door itself is on the hydraulic thing and will destroy you.
The cardboard that's in there never gets flattened at any of this, even when they open the thing back up. And it's also they can preserve this severed head for him to use later.
I know.
These Phantom
where
movies,
did the Phantom keep that head?
I know.
On ice somewhere, you know?
I guess.
Probably in frozen yogurt mix.
Yeah, nobody's going to check it there, so.
I guess this head is supposed to be in here. Whatever.
I love that cartoon thing of them doing frozen yogurt through the spigot, and then the spigot suddenly takes the shape of a human head as it works its way through.
Excuse me, I did not order a severed human head. All right.
How'd that get in there?
Big take
man.
from Luis. So good Lord.
Anyway, you want to go out with me?
So it is amazing, yes, that the Phantom is so swole that he's able to turn the tables.
Oh, there's also a point in here where Mac's dad gets a fire axe on him.
Oh yeah,
right, yeah.
That's in here. That's not much occurs with that.
No, not really.
Yeah,
but yeah, so we do see earring guy get his head smashed by the door of the.
Just severed though, because that head is
it's severed.
Is in pristine condition.
You gotta imagine that the neck, the throat itself was just pulped, but it kept the head perfectly preserved.
It's on a hat rack later. The owner of the mall is going home for the night, and he lifts up his coat and his hat, and there's the guy's head. When did he do that?
Look, man. You're asking a lot of questions of a film that had him produce, as if by magic, a cobra.
I do also like, once again, this actor goes, oh, that's far from the only time they've made a mold to have of mine as a severed head. I've had a lot of severed heads made in the stuff I've done. Just another day at the office.
Oh, crazy.
As long as you get to keep one.
I do. What I like about that guy is he seems to have a pretty realistic view of his career, which is just like,
I like that. I like people who are working actors who aren't in the top tier that just go, look, this is what my life's been, and I have fun with it.
I got my head cut off in that one. I was in a helicopter crash in Stone Cold. Lorenzo Lamas shot me on Renegade. Like, he's just going like, what are you going to do? Now I guess he's got a pretty good gig on Bosch, playing the other cop that's not Bosch. He's the guy who's always like, gee, Bosch, I hear that murder you're investigating is real bad. Anyway, I'll be over here behind my desk while you go get in a car chase. Which is not a bad gig. I'll give you some info. You do all the action. So let's see. Yeah, so he finds the head on the coat rack. It's like, oh no! By the way, at this point, there's never the thing in Phantom of the Opera that's in this where it's like, there's a phantom. There's no, like, scuttlebutt, folklore, urban legend. No. There's no people say there's a phantom. And that, to me,
I will say this.
That's really missing
the entirety of Eric's revenge.
Yeah.
seems to have been a week.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we see him circle July the 4th on the calendar.
Yeah.
But he's already on July.
Yeah.
By the time he circles it, it's already on the month of July, which means probably within the week. So there's really no time. He has spent all this time training and all the things.
And building a bomb.
Him making a mask in the sporting goods store. Up to this point, it's been like 5 days.
Yeah.
So it's not, I do love that stuff. I'd love it if they're going, I don't know what it is, but I mean, one security guard does say, well, some things have been taken from the sporting goods store.
But they're not, once again,
and that only mentions, like, I guess someone has stolen some stuff.
Well, because they describe what they've taken as like, that's a bunch of random shit. Yeah, I know, it's weird.
Unless you're doing like a Phantom thing.
Yeah. He probably
a bunch of bow staff, crossbows, VCR,
classic Phantom stuff.
It's weird. We found a mannequin with its face chiseled off. Well, just like half the face, actually, as if somebody was making a mask for a very specific part of their face that's been disfigured in some manner.
And then he turns around and goes, "Track down this murderer. He must be found."
Yeah. And Andrew Lloyd Webber's like, "Sue, sue, sue."
He's like, "I say, I will take exactly 1.9 million for that bit of music."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we were only going to spend like $1 million on the movie."
Yeah.
Yes, but I still want 1.9.
And that's how you
and
get
now we
to,
know.
Yeah. And then weird.
Okay, it all makes sense
then
now.
really weird that they cut that. That's only in the fan edit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really, just that one track down this murderer line. That's amazing.
So, Melody, who was knocked out at some point during the fight between the Phantom and Mac's dad,
sure,
she wakes up in the Phantom's lair on a nice couch. I will say, I mean, I guess this is stuff he stole from the mall. It's the coziest of Phantom lairs I've seen yet.
It's, I mean, it needs lighting.
Yeah,
but it's not bad.
A lot more candles.
He's got a microwave and a little fridge. He's doing all right.
And a hot plate.
He's got 4 TVs.
Yeah.
He's got a Bowflex. You know.
He's got a Bowflex.
That's what she wakes up, and he's over there with going, which I just thought was so funny. Not since Kim Basinger woke up to find Michael Keaton hanging upside down like a bat has there been a more alarming sight to awake to. But this is
I mean, there's no mystery here like a Christine in the original. So she knows it's Eric, and she knows he's probably got to be somewhat messed up from the fire.
This is his lair is made out of the remains of his house.
Yeah, he brought some stuff in.
Weird. And also, I just love that.
Which doesn't make any sense unless, I mean, okay, the house burned down like the previous year.
Yeah.
Then they built the mall. It takes a long time to flatten out that land. I mean, it would have taken another couple of years. They should have said the fire happened like 3 years ago because the mall doesn't just spring up.
No.
Which means, where was Eric in all that time healing from his burns?
Yeah.
And also, how did he squirrel away parts of his burned house?
Yeah.
He's like, eventually I'll work this shit into the mall.
And I just want,
I love, maybe that's where he learned the martial arts, because he had to be somewhere while it was being built.
Maybe he traveled the world and learned skills.
Well, I'll tell you this: when he talks, he got a hold of that Ben Affleck voice changer from the Zack Snyder Batman movies. Because what the fuck is this voice?
I don't know.
They do talk a little bit about it in the documentary where they say the guy who played the Phantom goes, well, when we shot the movie, I just used my voice, and apparently the studio was like, that's not scary.
I mean, it's still not scary.
He goes, they made me redub it as if I had burned vocal cords. I'm like, that's not all they did though, man. They got into that mixer and started throwing around, which doesn't make any sense, and it's so
also
weird.
What do they think burnt vocal cords sound like?
Apparently like that, with a little bit of reverb on it.
Yeah.
So the makeup we should discuss, it is half face, half head burns.
Yeah. Well, getting back to Batman, he got two-faced. He got two-faced good. I said going back to Batman, he's got a bad case of Two-Face.
He does. His eye socket is kind of exposed.
That is what the makeup artist is the proudest of, is that design of that eye kind of almost bulging out right? Like he goes that I thought that was my original kind of addition to the Phantom mythos,
Great. It doesn't look so good, especially when he has half his hair.
Yeah.
So he's got half the bro hair with the ponytail.
Yeah.
And then the ball cap on top.
This took 2.5 hours.
And then, of course, the half mask. It's not a good look.
No. He looked better with the mask.
And then, yes,
also,
the voices down here, like, Melody.
But it's also kind of got me.
Yeah, I've been doing. Like I said, it's getting to what Ben Affleck's Batman sounds like.
Now we are together, and you'll never leave me alone. We'll be together forever.
Yeah. And then when
don't you want to live in this crawl space with me, Melody?
Yeah.
She apparently she doesn't. If I'm reading
the
movie,
weirdly,
I will say that's one of my problems with this movie. I have many problems, but I'm saying, like, in terms of the Phantom storyline, the idea that she actually is his ex-girlfriend muddles the whole story to me. I don't know. Is that because you're just like, oh, but there is something here. He's not fully crazy. I mean, it's like he's not completely insane with this.
There
obsession.
are things even in the original classic Phantom story where there is almost a pull where Christine, she sees it as a sacrifice, but she also does see genuine worth in Eric.
Yeah.
And this is someone she doesn't know except for beyond, you're my angel, and I know you're a madman, but you are gentle to me. So for half a second in the classic story, Christine is considering staying with this monster because she might make him a better person with her love.
Right.
That is a huge sacrifice, and it's very romantic. Here, we have someone who's already been romantic with this guy. This is her ex, love of her life. And so if anyone would be predisposed to saying, I know you were horribly hurt, but I still love you, we can get you through this, it would be Melody. Instead, they have Melody in a weird way go, yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Eric, but you're just too uggo.
And I just met this guy like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And
I'm hot
I think
for
it's
Estes,
serious.
and I think you know what it's like to be hot for Estes.
The whole beginning, the whole like first act of the movie, she's like, "Oh, Eric, I loved him so, and he's gone.
He was so perfect, and he would play the song, and he would buy me orchids, and."
But then she sees him with that burned face. She goes, "Ugh, no, thank you."
I know. So really, she's the villain.
Jesus Christ!
I think so. Yeah.
It's a little. It
does undercut the entire.
It's like at the end of Deadpool,
message.
if Morena Baccarin was like, "Christ, I don't think so." Jesus God, I don't care what kind of superheroics you've done. Look at that fucking mug. God,
fuck.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my favorite things about Deadpool is that, I mean, they actually went romantic with it and had her go, really? You thought me seeing you like this was going to make me not want you anymore?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I kind of assumed. She's like, you're a fucking idiot.
It's his own
and
insecurity.
The best way to turn that thing.
Yeah. I know. That romance really works, surprisingly.
It does.
In those Deadpool movies, you're like, oh, this is good. Not what I expected. I know, not what I expected when I went into that movie. I thought I might like it, but I didn't think I'd really care about the romance. But good on you. Good on. I'm going to put that on Warnick and Reese, the writers. They're better writers than whoever ended up writing this thing. Not the original guys. Because one guy goes, there's not a single line of my dialogue. But I'm also going like, guys, are you unaware of how Hollywood works? Every screenwriter has a million of these stories. Even I have one at my low level. Even I had a project that got taken away from me and changed. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it just... You got to get it, and 30 fucking years later, come on, man. Like, I don't. It's insane to me that they're still just enraged over what happened.
Wouldn't you be?
No, I don't think there might be a mild like, oh yeah, that one got away. But to just be like, I couldn't believe this kind of treatment in Hollywood.
They never got past it.
Yeah, I know. They're just like, and our script this thing would have been a huge hit. There would have been many sequels. Yeah, that assumption that's a wild jump to me. All right.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Oh yeah. When she says, why I have to go, I have other things going. And Estes is on the security camera and he starts throwing stuff around and going, is it because of him? Him, is he the reason? Ooh, that steams me. I actually wish there was that kind of energy in this guy's performance.
Yeah, it's just not much. Not really much to speak of, unfortunately.
There's lots of physicalizing of the anger. There's a lot of like, I'm gonna throw this thing because I'm angry, but there's not a lot of like acting the actual emotions of it. It's all just like, mad.
Well, to give him any amount of credit, he has a mountain of prosthetics,
which he claims is aiding his performance. So
I beg to differ based on what I've seen.
Yeah,
he found the character within those prosthetics,
and then also all of his lines are ADR'd.
That so also, I think that hurts a lot. That's
like obviously I don't think he's great, anyways. But
they're ADR'd and filtered, like on 2 levels.
Yeah.
Why don't you love me, Melody?
You'll stay with me and he gets kind of rapey too. Like he literally gets on
There's
top
also
of her.
there is also one point later when he shouts at the owner of the mall where they don't have the filter on the voice that I thought was pretty funny. And all of a sudden he stands out. Yeah, he's just like Posner, and I'm like, where'd his voice come?
When I really go with the high, it comes through crystal clear. It's weird, but who can all shout it?
Yeah. Do you think they tried the filter and went, "Oh, this doesn't sound good. Let's just use the on-set audio"?
Yeah, it's like, or they were just asleep at the wheel and forgot he had dialogue in that scene.
Yes, that one. That's the one.
That's the one. Right there.
Nailed
it.
The one that indicates the production people were incompetent. That's probably the more likely.
Yes,
scenario.
Obviously. That was not a choice that they made. That was not an artistic interpretation of that sequence.
I also love, he goes, no, look, I've made you a whole life down here. Here's a little closet of clothes.
I picked all this out for you.
You like purple, right?
And she's like, "Oh shit!
This is a crawl space, man. Like, what do you?
No, we'll live down here.
How do I let this guy down?
Here's what I don't fully. I know he's been monstrously burned, but like, why can he not return to the surface?
Why does she not even try to convince him to leave the crawl space?
No, there's just, you know what? I'm going to leave you down here. Yeah, there is no come with me back to normal society. No, it's just like, you are a fucking freak and you should live in the sewers.
You could have just had her say and be, again, logical and say, you're right. These people wronged you, and we can get the evidence, and we can take them down together.
Maybe you could stop murdering everyone.
Yeah, maybe you could live in the light and get some therapy and see a doctor and all this stuff.
No!
But instead she's like,
Does that include crossbows and cobras? No, it doesn't. No crossbows or cobras. I'm staying!
Then what kind of life is that?
If I have to live without frozen yogurt and crossbows...
You have to try this severed head flavor of frozen yogurt. It's delicious!
I will not have hot dogs unless they are on sticks.
And this is when he says, everyone will pay tonight when my bomb goes off. And she's like, wait, bomb? He's like, yeah, I put a bomb under the mall. Pretty wild.
That was going to go off anyways, right?
Yeah.
So, like, whether or not she accepts him...
Yeah.
He was gonna blow them all up.
Yeah. He was gonna have his cake and eat it too, Lissman. He was gonna have the vengeful murder of mostly innocent people, by the way. I understand, like, there's a few people who legitimately wronged him, but he was gonna kill just attendees of that 4th of July event.
Yeah.
So awful.
Yeah,
which once again, we haven't seen him do. Up to this point, everyone he's killed, he's had some kind of justification for doing it. The fact that he's just gonna... Yeah, I mean, everybody... I mean, to different levels, but I mean, I'm saying, like, yeah, I guess the security guard of the air vent guy were just to keep his identity. You know, like a hero does. Shh, you don't know I'm Batman. Just die already. But so she goes, well, I like that she's like, don't blow everyone up, Eric. That's mean. Meanwhile, Rob, this is when everybody's...
This is the level of the writing in it,
This
too.
is where everybody is just running around the vents, too.
Yes. An extended vent sequence.
But Morgan Fairchild hasn't been exposed as a villain yet, right?
No, because that's when that's after they get out of here and tell her that there's a bomb.
Oh, right.
Which is a weird moment to pull a gun on somebody. There's a bomb.
Right.
It is weird.
Get inside.
Yeah, she takes him into her office and goes, yeah. I have a gun on you, and
Why did she pull a gun? What in the hell? And she's like, and her whole thing is, they go, there's a bomb at this event. She pulls a gun and says, "Don't ruin this."
I know.
What are you talking about?
There's
the exploding.
And then they're like, no, regardless of whatever your evil plot is, there's a bomb in this mall. And she's like, yeah, nice try. This is where Morgan Fairchild loses any grasp of reality. She's just fully lost her mind. And also, did we need
she
her?
was just hanging out in a parking lot earlier in the film, so I'm not sure she really...
I do love the idea that in this movie, all of our main characters pretty much have hard turns at the very end.
Yes.
There is no building to a character change. For instance, Estes meets Melody at the very beginning and instantly loves her, but that's not a hard turn. He just instantly loves her. He loves her all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But Melody's hanging on to the boyfriend until she sees his ugly face, and then she's like, you know what? All about the Estes, and sorry I can't help you. And Eric's all about, I love you and I will protect you. Then it's like, you will stay with me and we will burn together when this place blows up because I'm cuckoo. And that's late. It's just everything's like,
we've seen a lot of this on this show where it's like, oh, we got to have a third act. So everybody just instantly shifts character. Like,
but Buzz does become very heroic. That's his late turn.
I did not expect
Buzz
Pauly
saves
Shore,
the fucking day.
Pauly Shore cruising around on a motorcycle, and this is also one of my favorite things in any movie set in a mall, that the vehicles on display are fully loaded with gas, when keys, and are ready to go, you know?
Yeah. It is such a trope, and it's a delightful trope where it's like, hey, the mall has a vehicle sitting in it, time to drive it.
What I don't fully understand, well, because then while Morgan Fairchild has a gun on them, oh god, you want to talk about me laughing in this movie when he comes in and picks up Morgan Fairchild over, the Phantom comes into this office and just picks up Morgan Fairchild over his head and hucks her out a window. I guffawed like, oh my god. And then of course she is impaled on something.
That's the model of the spire that they kept talking about. But what I love is that the spire had not been a plot point until 5 minutes before this. Mm-hmm. We had heard that the mall was expanding, but we don't hear about a spire until we need to have her fall on a model of something that has a spire.
And I also, once again, back to the makeup guy who I love so much in the documentary, he goes, the thing where Morgan Fairchild, would she land on like an award or something? I don't know. He
doesn't even remember.
He goes, that was pretty easy. I just told him to give me the prop and I cut the top part off and just kind of strapped it to her and put some blood. I don't know. Like
I love the fact that when he hoists her, and obviously it's stunt woman or perhaps stunt man.
They do say, now that wasn't Morgan Fairchild going out the window.
Because literally Eric is doing a wrestling lift where he's got a hand up like under her rib cage kind of thing. And the other hand is right up the crotch. And it's supposedly a woman in a dress. Now, obviously, if you want to kill that person, you're probably not sitting there going, I should be careful with where I put my hand. But they spend so long showing him lifting her and carrying her over to the window. All I can keep thinking is, be a gentleman. You have your hand on her no-no. And then he full on tosses
before he tosses
window.
her, he goes, I'm really sorry about that. That was not cool.
Apologies for where I'm touching you.
And then it leads to this very not exciting crawl out onto like the scaffolding at the top of the roof of the mall.
Yes. Now
this is so slow and boring.
We're getting ticking clock shots of the bomb as it's counting down.
But it's still at like 7 minutes at this point. Like it's still like, I'm not feeling it, you know.
And no one knows about the bomb except for Morgan Fairchild. And this is something I love.
Morgan Fairchild's just been murdered. So
when the mayor gets tossed out the window and she falls on top of the display and has it puncturing her, it's another great non-reaction. I mean, they do show the crowd go, "Oh," but they literally go, "Oh," and they're all looking at it like, "Oh, that's just."
Listen, this is an opportunity for wasn't this? This was an action shelf bit, I believe, right? That we were going to keep inserting the police chief from Die Hard going, God, I hope that's not one of the hostages. Was that not an action shelf bit? I can't remember.
I don't know if that is, John.
Maybe
I don't know.
Was that on here?
It would be perfectly used here, but the problem is that even that probably has too much weight to it because people are just kind of looking like, oh.
Yeah.
That would imply that there's a
people
police
would
officer.
shriek and run away.
Whatever this was, I do too many podcasts. Wherever this bit came from, we just wanted different shots of people falling, exploding, dying, whatever, and then the cut to, God, I hope that's not one of the hostages.
I mean, it might be.
It might have been Deputy Police Chief Dwayne T. Robinson.
But we keep, as John said, very boringly, monotonously cutting to the rafters where the big banner for the July 4th thing is, and it's like Susie trying to get away from the Phantom,
or Melody,
Melody,
and she's crawling out
there.
But
everybody is like, just easy now. And careful.
I might fall because now I'm gripping the. This is what confused me.
Yeah.
She ends up hanging from the banner and looks like that's going to give away. But then when Eric on the other side finally does the leap onto the banner to do the big Robin Hood swing down, where did she go? Or did Rob Estes already pull her up? I guess
Rob Estes, he already
pulled her up. Okay, good.
Right,
oh, thank God.
Yeah.
No, I knew she survived.
I do like that the owner of the mall is like, shoot that son of a bitch. To the security guard, who's just now taking pot shots with his pistol at him.
Again, as you would in open air with a lot of people around, not worried about ricochets. So he's just shooting up into the rafters at
he
the
does
Phantom.
Eventually hit him in the arm, but then that's when he decides, all right, now's my time. I'm gonna do the big Robin Hood swing down, and this is when he goes, Posner!
Yeah, exactly.
Much like Lissman, one of our favorite moments in cinema history, in Demolition Man, when Sylvester Stallone jumps out of that helicopter and goes, Phoenix!
Yes.
Or speaking of The Simpsons, it's definitely a McBain.
It's a total
shouting Mendoza,
Mendoza. It's just great. We love it. We love an action hero yelling. So,
but yelling specifically the name of somebody,
name of their enemy.
Yeah.
So again, time is running out. How are we going to let people know there's a bomb?
I do love
and this is happening.
He really timed this perfectly here, the Phantom, because he hits Posner and takes him right back into his favorite sporting goods store,
where apparently they have some sort of
oh my god, the
gas gun spigot thing.
Listen, this is maybe the most action shelf moment in the whole movie, when for some reason they're selling some form of flamethrower. Right, it's
in the same display. There is a flamethrower, but also several propane tanks.
Yeah. What?
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's supposed to be like a bug spray thing.
I don't know. It just straight up shoots fire.
At least they could have shown him lighting it, but no. Instead, he does just shoot fire at Posner, who goes up pretty damn good.
And he has a one-liner here, doesn't he?
He what?
He has a one-liner. I can't remember the setup for it though, because Posner's begging for his life and offering him money, and he talks about it's something like you can eat forever, something like that, just so the Phantom can go, eat this.
Maybe I didn't recall because I was so swept up in the action. So now Posner is on fire and he goes down. Somehow the fire has backfired on the Phantom.
It's a bad flamethrower is what it is.
It is, because the Phantom's now fully lit up, and from the floor above, Estes and Melody see him go up and fall. I will say this movie's crap.
down onto the bottom floor of the the mall.
I will say that the flaming man jump
Not
stunt,
bad.
that was a good shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good shot. I was like, that stuntman is on fire. That looks good.
And
they framed it well.
And of course, right behind him, the entire sporting goods store just explodes.
Yes, of course, as it would.
Yeah.
So what's hilarious is they're still acting as if we need to inform people that there's a bomb in the place. Don't you think you would have run out maybe when the mayor fell on a thing and died? Like, that's still a minute or two before all
it's
this.
only when Pauly Shore gets on the PA system and goes, everybody, there's a bomb in the building.
Hey, everyone, you should get out.
You should
evacuate because there's a bomb.
And
Let's
then,
go outside.
but who's going to save Melody and Rob Estes? Why, it's Pauly Shore on his motorcycle going, come on, you guys, we got to go.
Pauly Shore and Susie, Buzz and Susie find a display motorcycle that has a sidecar. Fucking love that.
Yeah.
On display.
Rolls up next to them.
Hey. You ever driven one of these before? And he goes, no.
Yeah.
How hard could it be? Here's ignition. And I do this and woo, here we go.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I will say the sidecar does help with at least the balancing of the motorcycle.
Sure,
yeah. But yeah, I was waiting for him to roll up to Estes and go, hey, buddy.
Yep. I was expecting that too. But all four get on this motorcycle and
ride
they
it
get out of that mall.
Seconds before it explodes behind them.
And they are driving incredibly slowly, which is very thrilling.
They're in no
I do
hurry
love the fact that there's still people on foot that are behind them. That, I mean, they do get out before the place explodes, but it's nobody. Like, sorry, you guys didn't have a motorcycle, and I hope you don't get burned.
Yeah.
But then the whole mall goes up.
The whole mall goes up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, in a way, Eric got his revenge.
I would say so. I mean, all the bad people died. All the innocent people got saved. But
what was the line that Estes had at the end?
Oh, it's awful, and it undoes any likability for this character.
Yes. Did you write it down, John? Because it's like Melody says it looks like Eric got what he wanted, and
Estes is like, no, I think I got what he wanted, or something.
No. He said. Yeah, but I got something better or whatever. Yes. I got you or something like that.
Yeah.
It's very
And then they kiss and neither one of them cares, particularly her, that her first love has just basically committed a suicide attack on this mall.
Yeah, in one night she's seen up close the deaths of at least 4 people.
Yeah,
bloody, awful deaths, and she has been
committed by the love of her life.
That her former boyfriend, was still alive, was horribly mangled and insane, and almost
committed
raped
those murders
by him.
Yeah.
And committed murders.
And now he's just perished.
And she gets out of there and is
his
like
own terrorist attack.
She's like, you know what, I'm okay.
Yeah, because she and Estes are like...
That is very action shelf, honestly. Like, the amount of people who are not affected by incredibly traumatic events should be its own bingo.
It really
spot in the bingo
because
card,
when I wake up, it's going to be next to Rob Estes, so everything's okay.
Right. And then, we pan through the rubble of the mall to find Eric burned, maybe alive...
I mean, he is breathing, but I think that's just the actor.
I think that's just the actor. They're not calling attention to it.
Then the camera moves into
his
closed eyes. That's why
we keep waiting, because the camera's zooming in. We're like, okay, the eye's going to open. Okay, the eye's going to open. Or the hand will move.
No, instead it goes to this like, ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. He's the Phantom of the Mall. He's a crazy guy.
Here's the thing. I need to... You guys can actually log off, but I'm going to speak for the next 45 minutes about this song. The song is there a phantom in the mall? I cannot remember the artist's name. They do say it.
Yeah.
And the lyrics.
Oh, thank God.
Chorus.
You have the lyrics. Yes. Okay, great.
Just the chorus.
Yeah.
Is there a phantom of the mall? They're all bound to ask. Is he the Phantom of the Mall or just an R word, which I won't say?
Oh, shit. Oh, I wasn't paying that close of attention.
In a broken hockey mask. That is the chorus.
It was 1989. It was 1989. I'm not saying it's okay, but it would have been okay
Well, the band is. What's funny is the song is meant to be funny. You listen to the lyrics, and they're doing
which is
weird
lyrics. For the tone of this movie, though, that it's funny.
It doesn't fit it at all,
No,
but it sounds like a knockoff Mojo Nixon song. It sounds like the Dickies or one of those kinds of bands, like the Dead Milkmen. Very 80s proto-punk, funny songs.
Yeah.
And so the lyrics are they are making fun of a Phantom in the Mall and about Orange Julius and stuff like. They're doing those kinds of jokes, and you're like, what did this movie, if it had leaned into being parodic, then this would be a great theme song for it. But instead, you're like, what is this tonal shift at the very end?
Someone in the documentary calls it, they said, well, it was pretty tongue-in-cheek. I'm going, it really isn't.
I mean, we're laughing at it, but by
the
how
movie
bad
seems
it's
pretty
being
sincere. Yeah. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-ding. As soon as that guitar riff started, I went, what the hell?
I listened to the whole thing. I was like, I could turn it off now, but I want to hear this entire song.
Lissman,
and it's hard.
As always, I will pitch our go-to end credits song, which is always "Life is a Highway." I mean that. That's all. Lissman and I will always.
That would work
if we pitch the end credits of a movie every time. It's that song, and then it cuts to black. And life is a highway.
I'm gonna write it all night long.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a perfect wrap-up song.
It really is. And that's, speaking of the wrap-up of Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge.
And really, all caps, :
I gotta say, I just, if they hadn't put Eric's Revenge, I don't think it would have been as good a movie.
Nope.
If that wasn't in the title,
really made it.
I just don't think. And this is us wrapping up the decade of the 1980s. I think in kind of the perfect movie to wrap up the 80s, honestly. This is as 80s as it gets right here.
It really is as 80s as it gets, with honorable mentions. No, it's a full decade, but honorable mentions to Howling 2.
Yeah.
That scene at that club with the Oingo Boingo knockoff band.
Howling.
Very 80s. Howling
in the cold night, the cold
and the serious version of that in why am I blanking? Come on, David Bowie. Come on.
The Hunger.
The Hunger. There we go. So there are plenty of 80s movies, but this was very 80s. That mall, I swear to God, I lived in that mall. I know exactly that mall.
Well, that mall's in a bunch of movies. This was the mall that shot everything. This might have been the same
I'm not
mall.
talking specifically that mall.
No, but I mean this mall did get a lot of things shot in it though.
Well, because it's the Sherman Oaks Galleria. It's right there in L.A. So
I'm pretty sure this is isn't this Commando? I think there's a chase through this mall.
Yes.
Yeah. Which we at Lissman, we need to watch Commando over in the action shelf we've talked about.
For Commando, but that's a classic. That's
that
will
be our patron series where we watch quality movies from studios. Lissman, your final thoughts on this is your first time on the show, so you're coming at an interesting time as we wrap up the 1980s. Although I will say next week's movie, that is the first movie of the 90s, was technically shot in 89, so we may still see some of that sort of 80s bleed over.
Yeah, we did a little dance around that.
Yeah. Anyway, Lissman, your final thoughts as the guest here on Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge.
The first 7 seconds, I made a judgment, a rash judgment, because it looked like this movie was going to be total shit. And it was. Yeah. Let's be real. But I had a lot of fun with this movie. I laughed a lot at its expense. And
you laughed
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I've seen so many movies on the action shelf that are so much worse than this movie that...
It's true. It's true. If we were doing this on the action shelf, this would be like a highlight of that run.
Yes.
We would say, this is pretty good.
Yes, because again, John and I are broken.
We are very broken. And Brendan, we're gonna have you on for an action shelf monster show crossover over there at some point too, with one of our monster features. So we'll because there's some very silly movies coming up for our Halloween series. So. But Lissman, I appreciate your I'm glad you enjoyed it because I appreciate you watching Phantom of the Mall.
Had a lot of fun.
Eric's Revenge. Brendan, do we recommend people watch this movie?
Okay. At the very top, you heard me say diarrhea fountain.
Yeah, I would. So that would lean me towards your answer being no.
However, what I will say is things are relative. And to some in the world, some people might find a diarrhea fountain to be a magical thing, a fascinating thing that they can't take their eyes off of, because look at that. That is a fountain of pure diarrhea.
Yeah,
I will say,
it's like fondue.
I've used this recommendation on here before, and I think this movie fits perfectly. If you're getting the group together, if your friends are coming over to kind of watch something silly that you can joke about, this is a pretty perfect movie for that.
Pretty good.
Look at that. Yeah. It is dumb to the point where it probably is much funnier, and I did laugh all by myself, but probably much funnier with others around.
This is
at that point,
it's a beer and pizza. Everybody's joking about the movie. You all go in knowing it's going to be bad. That's the only. But this is not in any way. Like, I actually think, I think I did very much recommend last week's movie, because I kind of enjoyed the England version, even though its problems. It was trying to do something. There were ambitions in that aren't here.
I'll give it that.
Like,
but everything gets it gets comparative, because we'll trash one week and the next will be so bad that it makes the one previous maybe it wasn't that bad.
Hey,
because by comparison,
that leads us perfectly to what we're talking about next week.
Oh, please!
When we start the 1990s with what else? Another Howling sequel.
Howling 5.
Howling 5, The Rebirth. And yes, this does come to us from the same filmmakers as Howling 4, which we declared one of, and possibly in the running for, the worst movie we've ever watched on this show. It's up there.
Howling 4 is incompetent in every capacity.
No, Howling 4 makes this thing look like a polished masterpiece. Really.
I wasn't there for the making of it, but I can only assume even craft services was shit. There's not a category of that movie. I think when they wrote their signs to let the trucks know where to take the equipment, I bet they were misspelled and the arrows pointed in the wrong direction. There was nothing competent about Howling 4.
Yes. Now, I have heard, and just from my brief research into the movie, that fans of the Howling franchise consider this one of the better ones and the best next to the first movie. So,
are you kidding me?
Yeah,
they're saying this is number 2?
They say that this is widely considered by the cult fan base of the Howling films that this ranks second in that franchise. So
what happened? What happened in between 4 and 5? Like,
especially if it's the same people involved.
It's the same writer. I think it might be a new director. But it's the same writer and editor, if you recall. He also edits these movies.
Jesus Christ.
And we really hated the editing on 4, so I don't know. Maybe they get a better director or something. I don't know. I know nothing about it other than that it's called Howling 5: The Rebirth, and yes, that the popular opinion is this is the best of the sequels.
Is it because the fan base? Is it because the fan base is so much like us? The fan base is so broken and beaten down.
Actually, that's probably the case, because
we did say,
listen, if you saw 2, 3, and 4, I mean, we are pointing out how terrible 4 is.
No.
4 is horrible, but 2, 3 also horrible. Just 4 is more horrible.
Man, I don't know. So, 2 is looking better to me all the time.
All I know is when you repeat one 2-second shot of a woman opening her top 18 times during the closing credits, that is one way to boost your movie.
Boy, they really got Sybil Danning there, didn't they? I'll only do one nude scene. Okay, great.
All right, I will take off my shirt. I will take it off once in the movie.
For one scene, great.
Okay,
but we'll repeat it 18 times.
18 times.
Yeah,
brilliant.
We got you now, Sybil.
Oh my God! Okay.
Anyway,
so next week,
Howling 5: The Rebirth, as we said, because nothing can be worse than 4.
Here comes the 90s, John.
Here comes the 90s, where everything's going to get extreme.
Yeah,
and Lissman,
I'm expecting more pouches, more spikes,
and green slime.
People gritting their teeth all the time.
I'm expecting some poster designs by Rob Liefeld.
I'm expecting guns that are as big as people's torsos. Yeah.
Lissman, we're going to have you back a couple times next season. I know we have you down for a couple of the 90s movies. So.
As long as it's not Howl sequels.
No. We don't bring it. The Howling, that's us. We do those solo. We do those alone.
We'll bring you back for Phantom of the Mall too. Eric's Revenge. Revenger.
I mean,
more revenge.
We're gonna bring you back for some actiony ones, obviously, for the action
excellent.
Connections. Anyway, that is gonna do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
Is there a Phantom of the Mall? Some people are bound to ask.